and welcome to the Yerky Boys. May the Candrona shine and strengthen you. My name is Will.
My name is Jonathan.
And we are the
Yerky Boys.
Yeah, book
Too
35. What?
No,
the proposal.
This one was released in the month of October. It's October, and that's from the year 1999. Halloween book.
Halloween book.
Happy Halloween.
Yeah. Also, potentially a back-to-school book, since the first one would have been 1st of September. Some school years you might have started the September 3rd or something. This could be your first one.
You're saying this is the first one that you're
like after you
in
started school potentially.
No, but that's
or like
not
your first
a back
book fair
to school.
one.
Maybe it could be.
I don't
could
know.
be book fair book. It's not a back to school book though. Ridiculous.
Either way, every month in 1999 is exciting, I think.
Yeah, every month is pretty exciting. Halloween, everyone's dressing up as Neo with a big trench coat and a bunch of guns.
yeah, that's what I called Halloween.
When did Columbine happen? Was that 1999 or was that 98 or 97?
Feels like it must have been 99, right?
No, but I think Bowling for Columbine came out in 99.
Yeah, maybe it was earlier. It just feels like everything happened in 99.
Yeah, every good thing happened in 99.
Yeah, Columbine.
Yeah. Boy,
Bowling for Columbine.
No, it was April 99. That's correct.
Yeah.
Man, that's really no wonder people were crazy that The Matrix came out like the month before. God damn. It really was their fault.
You're right. First that, then the red pill incel movement. The Matrix just did everything wrong in our society.
Yeah, it's fucked me up, that's for sure. All right. Well, anyway, 1999 aside, we got a big show today. People who know this book know this is a big show. And but we do have a little bit of business I want to touch on first. Show business.
Oh, show business.
So I was Googling something about the Animorphs. I actually don't remember what. But I was Googling some stuff. And did you know, I think we found this before, but there's an animorphspodcasts.com.
I might have seen this before. I don't remember.
Some guy named John Maz compiled and pays for this domain. And it's just a list of Animorphs podcasts. And there's there's not a ton, but there's got to be, there's like a few dozen listed on here, maybe.
Are they all ongoing, or is it just ones that have happened?
No, I think, yeah, some of them have finished. Some of them didn't finish and just haven't been updated. Some of them are ongoing. They got all kinds. There's several that have pretty much the same premise as our show.
Mm-hmm. It's a good premise.
Except sometimes some of them are and more people, or some of them are a little more ambiguous. They're like the one friend who's kind of a fan, and this one who's more of a fan, and this one who's like a little bit of a fan. It's like, okay.
Yeah, just say you got 3 friends at that point. Like, who cares?
Yeah, and quit bragging. We get it. You have more than one friend. Some of them are, there's a couple dramatic readings of the Animorphs books, as well as some RPGs based on Animorphs. Also, at least a couple other Yerk-based puns besides ours.
Yeah, there's probably better.
We're not on there. So they have a contact that you can email them. Mm-hmm. And I did, and I submitted our podcast. So let the record state now that is now in motion. And we're going to be keeping an eye on it. Hopefully we are added to this website soon.
Wow, that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, I'm trying to, get the word out about our show, about, of course, our amazing Patreon, patreon.com/the Yerky Boys. We do bonus episodes every week.
Good word.
Yeah, so I'm trying to, really spread that around. Yeah. Also, the logo of this website is a red-tailed hawk with an iPod. He's listening to an iPod.
That's pretty good.
So very 90s appropriate. Actually, I guess that's more 2000s, but...
What are the perks of being on this site? Is it just like we're on a list now? I'm already on a couple
Yeah,
lists, is the thing.
right. Well, if you're on this list, you do have to, if you move somewhere new, you do have to go to your neighbors and inform them that you are an Animorphs podcast host.
Okay, I'll just stick that on the pile of other things I have to inform my neighbors about.
Yeah, it's just like, hey, just needed to let you know I'm the host of an Animorphs podcast. There's some other stuff too.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. But if anyone asks, I came around and I did tell you about that. So, um, yeah, there's no, I don't know how anyone I guess if you search Animorphs podcast, and you might just look at this website on Google and say, oh, this will give me the best list.
Okay. Well, we
I
should be
think
on the best list.
I think what's good though, of this list right now, we would be last alphabetically. So
Ooh.
I know like being first seems good, but I think a lot of people might just scroll down to the bottom and be like, how many are there? And they're going to see us.
Yeah, you want to be at either end for sure.
Yeah. So this is pretty
That's kind of
exciting.
exciting. I was wondering if maybe like there was something fun that it was doing with the podcast
No.
other than just compiling them. Okay.
No, it's literally just a list.
Okay.
That's it.
But we'd be on it. I mean, listen. It's more than we are now, so
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I think we should do a super show where we invite the host of every other Animorphs podcast to one big episode.
we just see how many say yes.
This
This is a good idea.
Have them all on at the same time, like 40 people on a call.
Yeah, none of them will have ever listened to our podcast, so we can start asking them their opinion. We'll be like, so how much time, out of curiosity, did you spend on Juan and Terry? We can find out which podcast is the best.
Yeah. Ooh, that's good. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Anyway, just a little something, food for thought. If anyone's listening, don't look up these other podcasts. Don't even worry about it. You found
They're
this
not worth
one, and
your
that's
time.
all you need.
Yeah.
So the proposal, I always like when Animorphs changes things up. I like when they switch up the medium here and there. So I thought that was pretty interesting this week. I thought the sort of an interesting reversal where usually they don't talk about locations or anything. But here, specifically that one of the characters is a Canadian executive and they're dealing with deportation from the United States, and they have to act as the other character's fiance, which makes for a lot of humorous moments. I think both Sandra Bullock and Ryan Reynolds are really good in this one. So, like I said, a change of pace for Animorphs, but I'm excited to discuss it today.
I'm not sure you watched the right thing here.
What do you mean?
Well, we're talking about Animorphs Book 35, The Proposal.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
I goofed again.
It's been a while since your last goof.
Yeah, I had a really good streak going, but I did accidentally this week watch the 2009 American romantic comedy film directed by Anne Fletcher, The Proposal, instead of The Proposal Book 35.
Well, to be honest, there's a lot of similarities. I think you're basically prepared anyway to talk about it.
Yeah, I think that movie must be based on this book.
Probably,
it came out after.
yeah. That's true, yeah.
I think Ryan Reynolds would make a good Marco.
Do you?
Yeah, he's so sassy.
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know about this.
Oh, is the woke mob going to come for me for whitewashing Marco?
Oh, that's true, yeah. They might.
But here's the twist. Sandra Bullock plays Jake. So that's how you get him back. Like, yes, we took away Hispanic, but a woman replaced a man, so it evens out.
Yeah, this all makes sense to me. This is going to work great.
This is why I should be an executive in Hollywood.
Yeah, well, when they do the Animorphs reboot and they make the gritty TV show for Netflix, so we'll put you in charge of casting.
Yeah, God. Don't. That's such a. I hate that. I can just see that already in my mind, and I hate it. Okay.
All right. So this is obviously a ghost-written book. This
is sorry,
Jeffrey Zielke book. He also did book 25.
I feel like we. We shouldn't say this, but I feel like we should say this. We're recording this podcast on Super Bowl Sunday.
Are we?
Yeah, today is Super Bowl Sunday.
Okay. You see how
You
much I
didn't
give a
know?
shit about that. I did not know that, no.
Look, I'm not a Super
I
Bowl
knew it was
guy,
Sunday.
but I knew. I mean, I knew it was like I know because I've seen commercials and stuff. Like
I
I knew
don't
it was
see
happening.
commercials. I do everything in my power to distance myself from commercials.
Sure, but you always like I usually Google show me commercials now.
Okay. I mean, I don't do that.
Yeah, you
Okay, so
use
what is it about
DuckDuckGo.
Super Bowl Sunday that you
Well,
need to talk
I
about?
might, we're recording like, I think we might still be recording when the game starts. So I might be distracted later because I'm going to be watching it. And the Puppy Bowl too, I think. So I might be checking in from time to time and maybe I'll update listeners with the scores and stuff.
Okay. Well, Puppy Bowl is pretty relevant because well, I don't want to get ahead of myself. There is a puppy on the cover of this book.
Oh, well, okay. Yeah, right. All right. We're not on the cover yet. We're
Yeah,
not
we're
on the
not
cover
there
yet.
yet, though. No, we still have a
Okay.
lot more to bullshit about before we can get to that.
I promise no more tangents and no more interruptions from me. We can get on with the podcast so we can finish in a timely fashion.
So you remember this guy who did book 25?
Actually, yeah. So I actually, not to not to spoil anything for the many listeners who don't read the books and just listen to the podcast as their way of consuming the Animorph series, but there's a bunch of not a bunch. There's a few references in this book to Axe's love of television.
Mm-hmm.
I actually don't remember which book was that from originally.
That was book 28.
Was that a ghost written book or was that an
Yes,
Applegate?
but it wasn't this guy. No, that was a ghost written book.
Yeah, because I looked at that point. I went, this must be the same ghostwriter because they keep bringing that shit up, but it wasn't. It was the guy who did the polar bear book, which also does get brought up. But I would never have guessed. I don't think these feel like, even though they're both Marco books, they feel different to me.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And this is his second book that he did, and this is his last book that he did. So now we've had 2 books in a row from ghostwriters who did 2 books, and we're finishing them up. So these last 2 books are going to be somebody's last book.
And I get it. I don't know why it was their last book, whether it was their decision or someone else's, but either way, I get it.
I feel you. I have a theory about this book and the way in which it was ghost written. I don't know if I should save it for after the show, though.
I almost brought this up too, but I didn't because I saw a quote from an interview with Michael Grant where he actually talks about the ghostwriting process.
Okay.
But apparently, I think another podcast did it, an interview with him. But I'll just say, in summary, it sounds chaotic.
Well,
he, according to him, like a lot of the ghostwriters probably hated them for the way that they like made them do outlines and rewrite shit.
Interesting, because I mean, last book I was kind of had this idea that maybe she literally ran out of time and didn't fucking finish the book and just like had to fill out pages. This book honestly kind of came across to me as though he was not given an outline to write it. It came across to me as though she wrote a paragraph about what she wanted the book to be about and said, do it. And he was like, okay, I'll try to do that paragraph as a book, but didn't really. That's my impression.
Yeah, and then there's some other questions I have about the process of this book that will come up more at the end when we finish it. I will just say, this might be the episode and book that kill me. I think there's a chance I don't make it to Visser. I think I might die today.
You're going to need to toughen up, my friend. I understand where you're coming from, but
oh no,
just grow some thicker skin here.
Oh no,
we're toughening you up.
No, it's not my skin that's the problem. It's my soul. This is This may be the most uneven book, in my opinion, that we've read. I can
Okay.
elaborate on what that means as we get into it.
All right. I'll put a little pin in uneven, and I'll ask you to elaborate at the end here.
Sure. Yeah, I'll elaborate at the end. So, any other thoughts on the ghostwriter, or shall we get to the cover?
Let's get to this cover here. So the quote on the cover.
Oh, we're starting with the quote this week.
Well, I just
No,
felt
that's
like I
fine.
wanted to get this out of the way.
Yeah.
It's what's on your mind?
Right. Your is italicized.
Mm-hmm.
Again, 3 dots, so what the fuck?
Yeah, they've just dropped the 4 dot thing entirely. We've just decided that we can't figure out any more puns on change or what happens, so we're like, Yerks, they infest your brain, so are there phrases about the mind, maybe? It's
Okay.
really bad. I'm not
Yeah,
happy.
I honestly didn't really get it until you said that. I was like, is this a pun? I don't really. What are they talking about? Like, is a dog on your mind because you're a dog? I didn't know what they were referring to.
Yeah, yeah. It's not good.
The
Now, the
cover,
rest of
though.
this cover, yeah, the rest of this cover is quite good.
Now, when you say quite good, what's your barometer there? What are you?
Well, have you ever watched the Tim Allen movie Shaggy Dog?
No, I have seen clips though.
It's kind of like that.
I was maybe going to submit this as possibly one of the worst covers they've ever done.
Well, you have to understand my tastes. I do think that you can probably agree with with my assessment of what I meant when I said good.
We should, for the poor listeners who aren't looking at this image, it's Marco standing in a green collared shirt. I don't know if there's a collar or not. There sure are buttons though, like a collared shirt. And the sleeves why are the sleeves so big and puffy and rolled up like that?
Yeah, it's like a polo shirt with big puffy sleeves. Very strange.
This is the fucking weirdest shirt I've ever seen. Not tucked in, which is unusual for a Animorphs cover. And he is morphing into a poodle.
Yes.
And a few things here.
Uh-huh.
First, weirdly similar to the polar bear cover. Don't you think? Like, the nose is kind of the same. What it does to Marco's face reminds me a lot of the polar bear mid-morph face.
Interesting. I guess I get that.
Just an observation. They're both white. It's a white poodle.
Mm-hmm.
There are some really good mid-morph stages here.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly.
So maybe some might call them nightmare fuel. He looks like a werewolf or a fucked up monster of some kind. I don't know.
I love him. A gif of this could just go right smack in the middle of Doggy Woggy's Poochie Woochies, and it would fit right in. It's my jam.
Google it. We're not going to explain that. Or don't. Just don't worry about it.
It's worth your time.
There's so much more, but
I mean, can I say Marco's pose? Like, let's just ignore all the stupid dog shit. Like, he's so awkward. His hands just kind of there. The way he's like looking at the camera, he's got kind of like a really kind of look. This is the sort of, you can imagine him just kind of like standing there and very subtly turning his head toward the camera as like a reaction gif, right? Like
jimming the camera, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he looks. I feel bad for this model because how do you live this down? Oh, the other guy got to turn into a tiger? You're going to make me do fucking what? Hold my arms up like what? Because, yeah, it's not a poodle on all fours. It's a little fancy poodle with its little arms up, standing on its hind legs like a little, hello, mommy. I'd like some of my kibbles, please. That's what this poodle is saying.
That is exactly the voice this poodle speaks in.
Mummy, I saw Papa stealing from the cookie jar. Naughty Papa, naughty Papa. That's what this poodle says.
Naughty paw?
That's good.
Thank you.
That's what it really says.
It's a little Dino going on.
Oh, that was a little Dino.
Yeah.
Okay, the biggest thing we got to touch on, though, that's left.
Mm-hmm.
He morphs a bow and a collar.
Yes, that's true.
Like, not even, they appear at the end, somebody popped them on there. No, as he's morphing, the bows start to appear on his head like they were part of the poodle's DNA. So, like, I don't think this has ever happened before on a book cover. Like, that feels like a pretty grievous oversight.
I think you are right. They kind of ignore them morphing clothes, but I don't think anyone has ever morphed clothes on a cover or anything artificial on a cover other than when Axe went human. Or Tobias went human, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I didn't.
But yeah, that doesn't.
But you're not
count,
gonna
though.
Right. You're not gonna print a naked boy on a cover.
Right. This isn't the 70s.
Right. I wish. Because not for reasons like that. What is going on? Is that behind the poodle in the final form?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the poodle's back or the one behind its leg? There's like a dark smudge. Do you see what I'm talking about?
I do. I mean, I assumed that was a shadow on its back, but it could be the leg behind it. Boy, that poodle would be weird and puffy if it
looks like shit.
The leg.
It looks like part of his pants that are still there when they shouldn't be.
It does kind of look like, I don't know. It doesn't
also
look,
the fact that Marco's shirt is maintained for every morph until the last, so he's just like Winnie the Pooh at the end, a little dog with a green shirt on. It's so weird.
Listen, I love this cover. I don't know that that's a good thing. I'm pretty sure it's not.
It's like, on the face of it, examining it critically and logically, it's just boy stand there, turn into dog. Like, there's nothing I can really point to that makes you go, oh, this is really bad. Just the overall way it's composed. It's something just feels so lazy about it compared to other covers. I don't know. It sucks. And it's a poodle. That's not fun. It's not cool or weird or gross. We've had a dog before. It's just a different breed of dog. It sucks. It sucks.
Listen, I fully hear everything you're saying, but I want my Nightmare Fuel half human, half dog hybrid.
Yeah, I mean,
the worse quality, the better for me.
It's not that there's not a part of me that likes that. I get it. God, he even has the collar in his third morph. Ew, it's really creepy. It looks like there's a scar around his neck. Ugh, it's horrible.
Yeah, listen. I see where you're coming from. Now, inside, we have a quote: "Man's best friend, not this man."
Okay, I mean, sure.
Yeah, why not? I think that's fine.
It's relevant, whatever.
Yeah, and all right. So then this picture. You like it?
We're in a TV studio. Poodle Marco is sitting on his hind legs in front of a studio camera, which is facing an empty chair with a bunch of TV screens behind it, which doesn't really make sense. It looks like there's a talk show set, but then the studio where they would be looking at all the different channels and cutting between footage is also behind this talk show set. It makes no sense.
Yeah, this talk show is the architect from The Matrix. This is his talk show?
Yeah, I guess so. And then in the foreground is the silhouette of a man with his arms out, looking like he's creeping up to grab this poodle.
Yeah, he's menacing. I will say, looking at the inner cover, confirmed the poodle's legs are weird and poofy, and that gray shadow is his pants from the previous morph.
Okay. Great. I'm glad we settled that. There is a little bit of gray shadow behind him, though.
There
Not
is,
as
but
much.
yeah, it's like not the same.
Yeah, that's clearly an error on the cover, I think.
Yeah, I would
Some
agree.
of these TV screens in the background, what can we make out here?
So, okay, so I actually have a thing from Anibase saying Orson Watch, which says, it says, check out the monitors behind Tennant. Well, that's the guy. Check out the monitors behind the menacing figure. The images are made up of cover art from other books the artist David has done. I don't think they're other Animorphs books, but other books. They are also pictures of his family, and there's one of Orson, his cat.
Oh my god. Where's this cat? Oh, I see the cat. Right behind the camera. Looks like it's in outer space.
There he is. I see him too.
So these are covers of his books. There's one of like a wizard.
Yeah. And pictures of his family.
So did he have to get permission? Or maybe they're all under Scholastic, so he just...
Or maybe he just didn't get permission, was like, who's going to stop me?
Yeah, it's the 90s. It's an Easter egg. Fuck off.
I do recall reading before that he was trying to put Orson into all of these, and they did stop him. So he's probably just trying his best, see what he can get away with.
How about this month, Cassie morphs into my cat? Could be a good one. David,
I respect
please.
It.
We need your creative input. The top left monitor looks like there's some kind of fucked up Pikachu human hybrid. You see what I'm looking at?
Yeah, I do. It's kind of hard for me because it's in the like the crease of the book here.
Oh, I'm looking at a blown up image on Seropedia.
I do kind of see what you're talking about, though.
It looks like there's a little yellow person with a giant head shaped like a kite, like a diamond shaped flat head with like red rosy cheeks like a Pikachu.
What book do you think that's from?
I don't know. Also, the monitor, or not the monitor, I don't know what you call that fucking thing on the camera, the thing you look at, the screen.
Viewfinder?
That's the thing where you flip through into the pictures as a kid. It looks like there's a code on there, like this is part of an Animorphs alternate reality game or something. Like I'm supposed to take those numbers and letters and submit them online. You know what I mean? It looks like there's something.
Yeah,
there.
I see what you're saying.
I don't know. Also, if that is a family member of his, there's this guy with a beard and it looks like a salmon colored shirt, just leering.
Yeah, that's almost certainly a family member of his.
That guy is just kind of scaring me. That guy's giving me vibes of like Too Many Cooks.
Maybe that's David Mattingly.
Oh, well, sorry, David. You look like shit. Should have put your cat there.
Just all cats.
Oops, all cats. Okay, so
yeah. All right.
Quite an inside cover.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we spent 30 minutes on the cover. Normal for us.
Yes, well, we had to. I think we've been going too fast through those lately. We had to.
You're right. Yeah. Need to make sure to slow it down.
Yeah. Well, this book, I think, yes, undoubtedly, my pop culture section is longer than my notes section.
All right. Well, let's see what happens. All right. So we open up on a scene. Marco is playing video games with his dad. And there is a call on the phone, and it's from Nora, his dad's new girlfriend, Nora Robinette. She is also Marco's math teacher, and his dad is getting pretty serious about this new relationship with her, and Marco is not happy about it. Marco tunes into a show called Contact Point on TV, trying to distract himself from his dad flirting on the phone. And in this show, people call in and this guy called William Roger Tennant gives them like advice about their problems, like life advice, whatever. And he's like super nice and soothing and likable, whatever. He's one of these like do no wrong celebrity types. As Marco is watching, this old lady named Marie calls in and says that she is lonely now that she's like retired. Her friends are dead. I don't know, whatever. And he is all like, "Oh, you should try joining the sharing. That'll get you some company and make you friends and whatever." So his dad comes back from his phone call and is like ready to keep playing video games, and Marco's like, "No, fuck off. I gotta go see Jake." So that's our first bit here.
What a start! I have to tell you,
Mm-hmm.
I really liked the opening to this book.
Yeah, I think it's really good.
I think this is the idea of Marco's dad dating
Mm-hmm.
is a great premise to hang a book on. In spite of one thing. Well,
Mm-hmm.
one thing now. More later. I maybe we'll get into this later too. I don't know, but I still feel so. When we last left Marco, was it Polar Bear book or what was the last Marco book?
It was book 30,
No, it wasn't Polar Bear.
the cockroach book, and it's
Right,
the
right,
one,
right.
yeah, where Marco pushes his mom off a cliff almost. Well,
God,
Jake, but you get the idea.
I feel like that. Time moves so fast. I feel like we just did that. I can't believe that was 6 books ago.
5?
5 books, I guess. Yeah, right. Whatever. Anyway, because there's 6 Animorphs, so but I remember they rotate. Well, isn't it still 6?
Well, it would be, but also I think Megamorphs came before that and not after it, right? If
Okay,
I'm remembering. Yeah, it did.
Anyway, doesn't matter.
Whatever. Who cares?
My point being, that book ended with Marco's mom's ambiguous death,
Mm-hmm.
which at the time I was annoyed because it's ended the same way it started. We didn't know if she was alive or dead. Again, we don't know if she's alive or dead. It felt samey and pointless to me. And this book did nothing but cement my position on that.
Mm-hmm.
I every single thing in this opening where Marco is upset about his dad dating plays twice as strong if we know for a fact his mom is still alive. We benefit nothing from thinking, but maybe she's alive. It's just such an annoying game because I know she's alive.
Yeah.
Everyone knows she's alive.
Yeah,
Everyone
as a kid,
can
you
assume.
read this and you know she's alive, 100%. Yeah.
So it's played. There's again, look, spoilers, fuck off. There's kind of a little twist at the end of this book.
Mm.
And that's it. I feel like that's the only reason someone was like, "Oh, we're gonna have a little whoa for the end of the book," but it's so obvious, and I think it makes the book worse. So I don't know. Agree?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think I love the idea of Marco's dad getting into a new relationship. I love the idea of Nora's character and Marco dealing with it. And I think we're going to talk about this more throughout, but there's shockingly few scenes with her in the book. There's shockingly little Marco thinking about her that isn't just reiterating what happened, right? Where it's like, "Oh, man, I feel bad about this. Why do I feel bad? Well, let me tell you, my mom, I thought she was dead, but then she actually was alive, but then I had to plan to kill her, but then we don't know if she's alive." And it's like, okay, are we exploring that? And it's like, we could, but it doesn't, it feels like not enough time is put on that. I would agree with you that this is a great idea that just is not done particularly at all. And I think that you're right that it absolutely weakens it to have her like unknown. Like even if you were just like, listen, canonically it's not known, but Marco's convinced she's alive, and the reader knows she's alive, right?
Yeah.
But just not enough is, I don't know.
That could be interesting too if the other Animorphs are like, we saw her go off that cliff, but Marco's like insisting that she's still out there. That's something. Instead of just, I don't know, maybe. We don't know. It's so wishy-washy. And yeah, why do we not have a scene of Marco out at dinner with his dad and Nora. Instead of, it feels like all of it is Marco just telling us, man,
Hmm.
you won't believe how annoying her dog is. Why don't, I mean, maybe we get a couple of scenes of that, but it feels like a lot
Barely.
of it is just him telling us how annoying she is. Like we should be doing, or we should have a scene of him in class and his
Yeah.
dad comes in to pick her up or something, you know? Like
Yeah,
they're
and as an adult, Nora's a very interesting character to me, right? Like,
yeah.
she's gotta come in and remarry this guy who's a good guy and who loves her, and they've got this good relationship, and I'm maybe getting ahead of myself, but like she's interested in him. They're having this serious relationship, but he's got a past with his ex, who he is like, who died, and he is like ready to move on, but he still has feelings, and then the kid is not ready to move on, and also he's in her class, so she's got to see him every day. There's tension, blah blah blah. Like, this is an interesting idea and an interesting character, and she gets like, maybe at most half a dozen lines in this book in like one scene. Yeah, it 100% would benefit from having more scenes with her, more scenes where, like you said, just go out to dinner, have a conversation with her or something. Um, yeah, it really is kind of a shame. There's a little bit more focus on Marco's like tension with his dad over this, but also still kind of not enough. Like even in this scene, like you can see when Marco is going, there's like the dual thing where Marco is going out to see Jake because they got to talk about this guy who's recruiting people into the sharing, but of course his dad's just like, "Oh, Marco's pissed that I'm dating this chick, and he's just out of here," kind of thing, which is also
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, plus he says that the teacher's hot.
Oh, does he? I don't remember that part, but that's funny.
Well, he says that she's like not unattractive or
Mm.
something like that later on when or maybe it's in this part when he describes her. It's just like he's like she's not bad looking or something.
Yeah, she's not as hot as his mom was.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
We all
Marco's
know
not into
Marcos.
stepmommy stuff. He wants the real deal.
Oh my god.
What? What's the problem?
All right, that's Jesus Christ. Anyway,
uh,
no, wait,
yeah.
wait. I had something.
No, I have
About.
something here.
I
I
know,
don't
but
know.
I had something
Oh,
for what you were talking about his mom, about the teacher. We probably covered it. Go on.
we'll come back to this point a couple times, I'm sure.
Yeah.
What about this William Roger Tennant guy? How do you? What is he? Because I'm kind of picturing him as like, maybe he's like a Bob Ross demeanor type, but like he does like an Oprah style, like he helps you out with your problems, but then his show format isn't either of those. It's more like a Jerry Falwell like call in. Like, he's weird. What is this?
I was trying to figure out, is his name a parody of something, of someone else in real life?
I'd love it if you gave me one.
I don't know. I didn't really think about it hard enough. It is another one of these weird ass K Applegate names.
Hmm.
Maybe Seropedia has something. No, they don't.
Guess not.
Um, William Roger Tennant. Yeah, I don't. It's such a, why have three names?
Yeah.
It Why make that an issue that you have to keep repeating those names? Maybe, you know what? I bet this was the ghostwriter has like two kids named William and Roger or something, and
I
that
mean,
this was their way of
I know why he has three names. But
why.
we'll talk about this a little more later as well. But it's because the plot of this book is just the plot of book 12, and Jeremy Jason McCall had three names,
That's a
so he
good
does
point.
too.
Good point. Yeah, I was like, is it a Rogers thesaurus pun? Are these three different talk show hosts? Is it William Shakespeare and Roger Moore and David Tennant? I don't know. I don't know what the fuck it is.
Yeah.
And I also, on the subject of names, we can get back to William Roger Tennant, but
Hmm.
the Nora's last name is Robinette.
Yeah, Robinette.
Fuck off. Fuck right off. 2 B's and 2 T's. Robinette.
Well,
Shut
she'll
the
change
fuck
it.
up. Shut up. She won't, because she's a Ms. So
That's true.
you know
That's
she
true.
ain't taking that last name,
That's true.
fucking feminist.
Oh, maybe his dad will take her last name, and Marco will be like, "I couldn't tell you my last name, but I accidentally did. It's Robinette now, Marco Robinette."
Yeah, what the fuck? Why is he doxing her? What the? This is
He
fucked
doesn't give a
up.
shit about her. Fuck Nora.
I mean, we've known Eric King's name for 25 books
Right.
now, so the justification for this has been out the window for a long time. So fucking stupid. All right, it's fine. We don't need to get hung up on that. William Roger Tennant. Any other his show? I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's an
Yeah.
advice show. I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't know what's happening.
they do really want you to get Bob Ross vibes off him, though, even though he's not an artist. Like, he doesn't have an afro, but they say he's got a ponytail, and he's in, like, what,
Oh.
faded jeans and casual button-down shirt, and he's, like, always very soothing when he talks. Like, I think you're supposed to get that vibe off him.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I did not think of that at all, but makes sense.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I also, and the listeners will find out. But this chapter, I don't know, it might get broken later in the book. I didn't count, but this chapter, I'm pretty sure, sets a new record for reference density. I think I counted 10 in chapter 1.
The amount of times I had to put the book down and jot down a pop culture reference, I was getting mad. Like, I had to take a break because I was just pissed that they kept making me stop reading the book. I was like, shut the fuck up, Marco. Just shut up.
Yeah, no, I had a separate document open on a different screen so I could just quickly go back and forth with it.
It is absurd. That's usually what I do, but sometimes I'll do it on my phone if I'm lazy and I'm not at my computer reading, and it was a pain in the ass. One other small interesting note here. They make some references to taking. This is a great mental health book. We'll get to that later too, but he makes references to taking meds. And we used to, in old books, Cassie had to explain what meds were. So it's either a ghostwriter difference or society and culture has evolved since the start of Animorphs to the point where people just understand what meds are and don't need you to explain it.
Well, the difference is that if you say a human takes meds, everybody knows what that means. But if I say I gotta give the horses their meds, you're like, what? What would a horse take that would be called a med? I don't get that. I think that's the...
Got it. Like, are they taking medieval times? What
right,
is
yeah,
it?
who knows? Who knows what horses might take? They're strange animals.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay.
All right, so you know they got to meet up about this William Roger Tennant guy. So Marco tries to morph into an osprey to fly over to Cassie's barn, but instead he ends up morphing half osprey, half lobster. And he doesn't know why this is happening. And he's freaking out, and he like can't breathe because he has lobster gills or whatever. And he has to morph back human and ends up taking his bike over there instead and ends up being an hour and a half late. But they all meet up at the barn and they discuss what to do about this tenant guy. And they figure, oh, well, if we like dig up some dirt on him, we'll go spy on him and we'll find, we'll make a scandal and then people won't listen to him anymore. They won't want to join the sharing. Marco and Cassie fly around doing surveillance on his house in preparation for them to like break in and do their whole plan. And we get a little bit of Marco venting to Cassie about his dad's dating life and his issues with that. And we also learn about Euclid, Nora's toy poodle, who is a mean, nasty little dog. That's our first reference to Euclid, the nasty poodle.
Okay.
All right.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's
all
figured
right.
I'd
Well,
stop for a
see you
second.
guys next week. You're saying, and you've said this before, but I've let it slide, but I think we need to put it out in the open here.
Okay.
And I don't. This is maybe correct. I don't know. Osprey. Is
Yeah,
that the way you say it?
yeah, osprey.
I've been saying like osprey. Osprey.
I've
No.
always said osprey. The brand of backpacks called Osprey is pronounced that way as well. I assume that's the same as a bird, but
I mean, yeah. I don't like it.
huh.
I believe it, but I think it's stupid.
Hmm.
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
Yeah, yeah.
I googled it.
Oh, interesting.
I
Okay,
googled the word and pronounce, and
okay.
the automatic Google American pronunciation gave me spree.
Oh, interesting. Hmm. I'm not going to stop calling it osprey because I've always
Now
said
hold on.
that, but
Hold on. Hold on.
okay.
More evidence is coming to light. I went to dictionary.com. Actually, it's
Uh-huh.
dictionary.cambridge.org. Cambridge
Okay.
Dictionary. UK pronunciation osprey.
Holy shit.
US pronunciation
Holy shit.
osprey. You're
Oh,
a
I don't like that. I'm not going to
fucking
change, but I don't
Brit.
like that.
Yeah, this is who you've chosen to align yourself with.
No, no, I don't like it. Not happy about it.
Oh, this is crazy. Oh, that's crazy. Now I went to merriam-webster.com. The listeners love this.
This is their favorite part.
They have two pronunciations on the top. The first one is spree, second one is spray. It does not specify if either one is regional, but they list both in that order. So both are acceptable, maybe more or less so depending on where you are in the world.
Okay.
But I think we can both agree yours is wrong.
No,
Sounds
no.
stupid.
I'm not gonna. It's Osprey.
I
That's
bet your
what it is.
precious
That's the
fucking
correct.
backpack company is British too.
That probably is why, honestly.
Yeah, and you're so stupid. I thought you were a bird lover, but it sounds like you're more of a backpack lover.
Listen, there's better birds out there.
Anyway, we had to finally get that out of the way. Like that was
Yeah, I mean,
that
I
was
didn't even know this was a problem you were having, so it's important that we
yeah. Yes.
get it out there,
I have a
discuss
lot
our
of problems
feelings.
with you that I bottle up until they reach a boiling point. I'm a bit like Marco in that way.
Yeah, and this one's out now. Now everything's all better now because we've talked about our problems and feelings and
Did you even mention the
had a heart
fact
to
that he
heart.
turned into a half lobster
Yes,
monstrosity? I feel like you said it, you like glossed over it like it wasn't a big deal.
I said he turned into a half osprey, half lobster. He couldn't, yeah, and he couldn't breathe, and he was like, "Oh fuck!" and he had to morph back, and he didn't know it was
You say it like, yeah, and then he got some breakfast.
right.
Like it's kind of the thing that the whole book is dependent on is this.
That's sort of true. Yeah, it's
If you
what the whole book should be more dependent on, maybe. Except maybe this is a bad gimmick.
Yeah, this is his version of Rachel's allergy.
Yeah,
The reaction.
instead of morphing into random animals, he can't. He morphs into hybrid animals.
Which, I wrote down nerves ? Allergy ? Those are my theories.
Right. It's also divorce adjacent issues. Like his parents aren't divorced, but like if you're a kid reading this, you're like, oh, my parents are dating again. That's a divorce issue. Just like book 12, Rachel had issues because her dad and like it's just a whole yeah. And yeah, a celebrity trying to get people to join the sharing. It's very like, okay, I want to do a book about Marco's mom, or Marco's dad with this new chick. Okay, what should I make the plot of the book? I don't know. Just do book 12 again.
You're absolutely right. They even reference that book. He
They do.
references it.
Well, if you lampshade it, it's okay then.
Yeah, that part I didn't realize that they also had the same plot with the celebrity involved until you said it. So yeah, and I'll save more of my thoughts on the hybrid morphs for later, but it is a thing that's there. Unless you want to talk about it right now.
I was just gonna start talking about it because I wasn't sure the best place to put this. But Kay Applegate had a like a whole point about why she didn't want them morphing hybrids, right? Um, and
Did she
you
say
know,
that in one of the Q&As or something?
yeah, I don't know if we did that one with her, but it's in there.
Okay. Sounds
But she,
familiar.
yeah, she has a whole thing where she's talking about like everything's very particular and specific, and you can't just go mixing and matching things because it won't work. And like I think like the point was kind of more like, okay, well, you can have all these parts, but like if your circulatory system doesn't line up, if you've got the wrong lungs, if the bones don't connect right, it's not just like it wouldn't be good. It's like it literally physically wouldn't work. You would lie there unable to move and maybe just die. And with this osprey lobster, that's true. And there's going to be other morphs where that's true. But there's going to be other morphs that Margot does, hybrid morphs, where that's not true. And so instead of like proving her point about how this is a bad idea, this book almost refutes that. Like it's almost like, okay, so it's not easy to do this, but you could do it if you knew what you were doing, because sometimes these hybrids are able to function. So if you were like Cassie, if you remember last book we were talking about what if Cassie was the first person to figure out how to do it, then they could do it. So you're just wrong, K. Applegate. You should have them do it. That was my assessment.
Oh yeah, that did happen, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It sure seems like it'd be a pretty cool ability to master.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah, I think I
guess
brought up like Toph and metal bending, where it's like, yeah, it's
right.
really hard to do it. Nobody can do it, but like, it's clearly not impossible because some of his half morphs function.
Yeah. God, I didn't even remember that. That just happened.
You're getting old.
We go through so much on this show,
I feel you.
This is also an example of a book that, boy, if you ever had to adapt this for a visual medium, it's rated R. Like, it's just fucking horrifying.
Yeah.
A half bird, half lobster, and the shit that comes later is like this is some like John Carpenter, David Cronenberg fucked up weird looking shit.
Yeah. Yeah, and in some ways it almost comes off silly because it's just written in the book and it's a kid's book, so you expect it to be kind of silly, but it really is, yeah.
Terrifying.
To be fair, if I were adapting this book, I would take out the Nora chapters and cut the entire rest of it and not do it. So,
yeah, right. Which would be a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Anyway, should we move on to the barn?
Yeah, I mean, we're still in the barn here, yeah. Right?
Well, the morphing is pre-barn.
Okay, yeah, the morphing is pre-barn. Fine, sure. Let's talk about this barn.
Discussion-wise.
Let's talk about... I mean, one of the big things I want to talk about here is Axe, which you alluded to earlier.
Yeah, Axe's kind of weird in this book, in my opinion.
Yeah, Axe in this book acts exactly like he does in book 28, and completely unlike he does in any other book before or in between. And it's very jarring. It's very like, you get to book 28 and you're like, oh, is this a new direction for Axe? I think you asked that. And then like, no, it's not. He goes back to being much more serious and like, and then we come back here and it's like, oh no, he's like that again. Remember, he loves these messages. He loves the young and the restless. Remember, he's always making those silly TV jokes. He's been doing that. Remember.
This author, I guess, was like, ah, shit, I better catch up on the latest books before I write one. But he only had time to read that one. It's like, all right, I guess that's Axe now. I got it. I get it now.
I mean, it hasn't come up as much yet, but it does feel like as we progress, this book is trying to be like a funny book. And so it's like maybe he's trying to milk that part of Axe's character.
He also, later, Axe does a French accent.
Well, a bunch of people are doing a French accent at that point.
Yeah,
so he tries to...
It just
he
feels...
mimics.
But he does it in thought speech, not as a human. I don't know. It feels really out of character to me. It's too far, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, Axe has a couple of jokes in this that, like, that I guess they're kind of like he doesn't quite realize he's joking or he's on the... I don't know. It would be better if... Yeah, if Axe actually had a silly arc where he got sillier and sillier and not just like occasionally we're going to write a book where he's silly, maybe that would hit different. But yeah, it's very like, Yeah, and who was it who wrote in? Was I don't want to say the wrong name and offend somebody.
About the
Somebody
flop
wrote
era?
in and hated how Axe was in book 28, and like, yeah, like this really is not who he is in any other book. As much as I
Yeah.
loved him, and you know, in book 28, I really liked his TV antics, and in this book, it's just like they're not different, they're not as good. I'm just like over it.
Yeah. That's I would say accurate for my feelings as well. So also here's another this book was
Mhm.
there wasn't a lot going on, so some of my notes are just like other observations
Go
I've been
for it, yeah.
having. Here's one about
Hmm.
Axe. Why they always compare him to a deer, right? In the descriptions, they always say he's a
Yeah,
deer-like.
yeah.
Why do they never just say he's like a centaur? Isn't that just the
Yeah.
most obvious? Isn't he more like a horse than a deer?
Yeah, I mean, maybe they're like, well, a horse is, I mean, Axe is nowhere near as big as a horse. Horses are fucking big. But, like, yeah, he is like a centaur. I feel like when people imagine centaurs, very few people imagine them to actually be as big as horses, because then they'd be like fucking 10 feet tall with the human torso on top. But, yeah, no, I mean, it is weird. There are centaurs. You could just say centaur.
Yeah, it was Nick No Name, by the way, who
It
hated
was Nick No Name. I thought it might be, but I
Book
was
28.
scared. Thank you.
um, yeah, I don't know. So that was just a little detail. I was like, why are you going just centaur? You're done. You finished writing that part. You don't you don't need to work that hard.
Yeah.
Rachel and Tobias are now dating openly, it
Hmm.
seems.
Probably.
Well, do they say something, or maybe she kisses his little beak? They do something in
She
this scene that
Yeah,
maybe.
they're it's revealed that Tobias like comes over to Rachel's
Oh yeah,
house and
yeah.
like and watches TV with her, and Marco makes some snide remarks about how they're dating now. And I suppose we're meant to believe that they are just openly dating now. I don't think that's refuted here. And I
Yeah.
would believe it.
Yeah,
I'd
it
like to believe
seems
it.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody knows at this point.
Yeah.
It's just fine. There's also, and so they come up with this plan. They're gonna do some kind of a smear campaign on the guy, right?
Mhm.
Which I thought was Rachel's kind of ahead of the times here
Mhm.
because she's like, smear campaigns don't work on politicians.
Now it's actually funny. They say they don't work on politicians and athletes, which immediately made me think, and I didn't check this, and this is part of the everything good happened in 1999 mindset. How does this line up with Clinton and OJ?
That's a great question.
Like, when exactly did those happen relative to this book? As
OJ,
far
I feel
as.
like was earlier enough that for kids they like wouldn't know, so it seems
Okay.
like that makes sense. Clinton was like this year, wasn't it, or the year before?
Yeah.
It was Yeah, it was 98
Yeah.
to 99. So yeah, it like just ended that whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, it didn't really. Like,
I
they,
guess
they
it didn't
did the
do
whole
anything.
trial. Yeah, at the time it was a huge deal, but, like, yeah, it didn't really do anything in the long run. And yeah, well, listen, that's probably because at the time they were like, oh, the problem is infidelity, as opposed to being like, the problem here is actually that this is like a 20 something White House staffer with the president, and this seems coercive, and maybe we want to check into those Epstein flights Clinton's getting on all the time. Because
Yeah,
that's
all
what
those
really is
rapes
going to
he's
come back
doing.
to. Now, see, in the modern era, right, if you rewrote this book in the modern era, they would be trying to forge the Epstein flight logs to say that William Roger Tennant was on them and get him canceled. I mean, maybe Epstein's like a yerk, and maybe this is the yerk plan. They like pretend to make a pedophile island, and then when the powerful world leaders show up, they infest them.
I heard Chapman's on the Epstein flight log.
Yeah. This is my new. I'm going to write this fanfic now.
This is really good.
Yeah. And then,
We should be writing these
I don't
ideas
like this
down.
idea. The immediate thought is, well, the Animorphs have to infiltrate and pretend to be child prostitutes. I'm not sure I like this idea anymore. I'm not writing this fanfic.
I'll pick it up. I'll write it.
Okay.
I'll say based on a story, big letters, based on a story with your name. And then
Okay, good.
at the very end, it'll be like extra credits, editing work by me,
Thank you.
Yeah, because I want to give you your credit. And it's going to be explicit. Okay.
Okay, I'm glad we've established all of
It's
that.
gonna be like the what's that fucking movie? Freedom Train of
Oh,
Freedom.
I
What
didn't
was
watch that. Yeah, whatever the fuck that was.
the
I don't
Freedom
remember what it was called.
Express? Yeah, what was that?
Freedom Ring. Yeah, whatever the fuck that
Why
was.
am I thinking it was
No
about a
one's gonna.
train?
No one is going to know what this is in a year or two. That movie was like, it was only a phenomenon like on the fucking internet for like a week.
God damn it. Hold on. I'm just Googling child sex movie. Sound of Freedom. That's what it was.
Right.
Sound of Freedom.
Right. Yes.
anyway, look it up, kids. So, what the fuck are we talking about?
They're in the barn. They're discussing this smear campaign.
Yeah, anyway, it just made me think of like, oh, I could shoot a guy on Fifth Avenue or whatever, you know? It was
Yeah.
that kind of a thing. Now,
Grab him by
they
the
meant
pussy to let you do anything.
all right, I don't like that kind of locker room talk on this show. I also they talk about how they checked Ms. Robinette for Yerk signs. They followed her around for a few days to make sure she's clean. Cool, that's smart. Except, what about the fact that she's works at a school that is we've established run by Yerks pretty much?
Yeah.
Couldn't she be infested like any time? Are you doing recurring checks? Are you following her around for 3 days, like once a month, just to make sure? Because that could happen whenever.
Living on her as a flea and having Chi take over.
But it's not like,
yeah,
it's not like, oh, she's clean, don't worry about that anymore. Anyone can become a Yerk anytime.
Yeah, exactly. And and I was thinking about that actually because I was like, wouldn't that be a better plot for a book if they're like Marco's dad's dating again and it's getting serious and Marco immediately just decides he doesn't trust her and the other Animorphs are like, I don't know, it kind of looks like she's clean, and Marco's like, she's definitely not, and then like we have to follow her around, blah blah blah, and like we already did this story with Arya with Tobias, but like you could have it different where it's like the twist ending is she's not a Yerk and Marco has to admit to himself that his dad is actually like in love with another woman.
That's good. That's
like,
great.
That's an actual plot, right?
Yeah, write that book. Yeah. Oh well, they didn't.
Yeah.
They wrote this one.
They wrote this one. Rachel's got a pretty good barb here where she says, "Oh, Marco, you're looking for advice on what? Coping with shortness?" I liked that.
Rachel has a few good barbs in this book. It almost feels like the writer of this book maybe doesn't like Marco.
But he did the other Marco book, and Marco was good in that book. He's a Marco guy.
Yeah, I guess so, but man, look, this book did give me more fuel for my Marco-Rachel shipping, among other ships, because they do go at each other almost to the point where I thought this would be a plot point. Like, Marco seems especially interested in making fun of Rachel in this book. And I thought it was going to amount to something, but they just have a lot of roasts of each other.
Interesting. I didn't really notice that. Maybe it's because I'm used to them roasting and I already knew where the book was going. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I was like, boy, he's like really, like there was a point where I was like, Jesus, lay off a little bit, man. God, every scene, there's one of them is like, yeah, I bet Rachel would like that fucking bitch. It's like, calm down, Marco.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's that, Marco? I couldn't hear you over the sound of your tiny dick, or whatever she says.
That sounds like Rachel. That sounds like mean Rachel.
Yeah. Marco's getting excited about that one.
Marco, huh? All right, so
yeah, Marco.
All right, so they're gonna break into this guy's house, William Roger Tennant, and they're going to. All right, so he has a lot of pet birds. So the plan is that they're gonna morph into his cockatiels, so they can spy on him from inside his house. All right. I'm going to cover a whole lot of pages here. I don't
go for it
because my notes are not dense. All right. Um, okay, so they morph Squirrel and break into the house. Demorph. They sneak into his aviary to acquire his birds. There's some shenanigans with acquiring them. Marco gets bit. Whatever. Who cares? He manages to morph Bird without turning into a freak, so that's good. They're in good shape. They fly into his office and listen in on him as he talks to Visser 3 on the phone. This is not suspicious because William Roger Tennant always just lets all of his birds have free reign of the house at all times. They learn on this phone call that he is going to be receiving an award at the Solid Citizen Awards banquet that weekend. Um, Marco starts to freak out and loses control of his bird morph, and he starts like singing and pooping all over the place. And Tennant gets pissed off, and he's like, "All right, I've had it with this fucking bird. I know I can't kill him because of my image, but screw this, I'm gonna kill you." He has to fight with his host. The real William Roger Tennant stops him. But then Marco like can't tell him his name, so he's like, "Oh shit, it's Andalites," and he puts out an alert. A bunch of Hork-Bajir show up. The other Animorphs show up as backup. There's a giant fight in the house. Marco tries to go gorilla as Battlemorph to help, but instead he turns into a trout with gorilla arms, and he has to turn back to human and escape. And they fight their way out. All right. I covered a lot of the book. We spend a lot of time on this scene.
Yeah, this is where the cracks started to show for me.
I believe
book.
it. Yeah.
Not full blown this sucks territory, but starting to some things jumping out as what exactly are we doing in this book?
Mm-hmm.
For example, what are we doing in this book? Okay, I don't know. Let's one thing at a time. First, I thought, okay, we see David. I'm gonna call him David Tennant.
Okay.
I did that multiple times.
Just call
in my
him
notes.
Tennant.
Yeah, Tennant. I'm not even like a Doctor Who guy or anything. Okay, the name David Tennant. Who else is named Tennant? Nobody.
Yeah.
All right. We see him kissing all his birds in the beginning of this scene. But nobody's around, right? Isn't he alone in his house?
Yeah, I guess he's worried about the paparazzi. Because they make it very clear he fucking hates these birds. The Yeerk does not like having to pretend he likes these birds.
Yeah, because in this part, when they first showed that, I was thinking, oh, he's not doing it for show. Maybe there's some weird relationship here where this Yeerk agrees with his host and also thinks these birds are great. But then they clearly show you that's not the case.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Mm-hmm.
Confusing. Then they're squirrels first. Then they break in as humans to acquire his specific cockatiels.
Yeah, because he would recognize him.
I guess
he would.
I
would.
But he would but doesn't he have like 50? Like how many
He's
are
got
in there?
10 cockatiels and a bunch of other birds too. Yeah, he knows them all.
He's not going to.
If you had 10 cats, you would know them all by name and face. You wouldn't be all like, I can't tell those apart.
Is he not also going to notice there's more of them than there are supposed to be?
They throw out a comment like, "Oh, we better lock the aviary so the other ones don't show up." I guess so. Okay. Technically, they cover it. I guess.
Okay. And by the way, when Marco turns into a bird, Rachel says, "Oh, that's a nice look. Now your head finally matches the size of your brain."
Oh yeah, because his head shrinks.
Like it's every other scene. There's the it's. I thought it was strange. Okay. I don't know. I don't even know. There's a bunch. I don't know. The birds. You like birds. You must have been having fun.
Not really.
You didn't like Toit?
I mean, listen. I like the birds. I like the Toit. I liked all the birds. But like, man, this is the part where the book starts to become kind of a slog to get through. And it's just like, all right, we're here in the house. There's birds. They're being birds. Okay. Are we doing anything? What's happening? We're still here, huh? Oh, we're like probably like a good 40% done with the book now, huh? That's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. It is pretty interesting. Now, well, we do eventually get to actually look at William Roger Tennant
Yeah.
up close and personal,
Yeah.
who does a mail merge. What
He
does
does a
that mean?
what?
He does a mail merge.
Is that in the book?
Yes. When he's writing an email. They're looking over his shoulder. He's writing an email, and Rachel says he's doing a mail merge.
This is some 90s shit that I don't know about.
Does that mean he's like BCCing, or he read two separate drafts that he combined? I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I have no fucking idea what that means.
Okay, so that's fun.
Yep. We also learn, he wears a toupee.
Oh, yeah.
He wears a toupee, and his hair is styled in a ponytail pulled back tightly. What the fuck is this?
This is what happens when you don't edit a book, when you just keep writing and you don't bother to think about what you wrote before.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just keep going. Just keep going. This is a first draft.
Last book we also kind of said looked like it wasn't edited.
Yeah. Yeah, it's starting to feel like a recurring theme. We get a phone call with him where he just gives all the exposition you could ever want.
Mm-hmm.
He basically says, does he literally say, as you know? I feel like he says,
I'm almost
you know.
certain he does. Yeah.
As you know. Little tip for writers. If a character ever needs to say, as you know, then they shouldn't be saying it. Because they know it.
Yeah.
Don't just delete that section.
Yeah.
And then we get another, again, I thought maybe this Yerk thing was going to be more complicated than it is. When he catches Marco as a bird, because Marco's being annoying.
Right.
Which tracks.
I do like annoying birds.
And it's annoying bird, I'm the great Leon. Star Fox fans would have been outraged if I didn't say that. So
okay. Thank you.
He's trying to like strangle Bird Marco Homer Simpson style.
Yeah.
Why you little? And it seems like the real Tenant is stopping him from doing that.
Yeah.
Is that the read here?
Yeah, or at least fighting him on it, and he's like, fuck it, it's not worth it.
Like, we have seen very few instances of a host overpowering their Yerk. Yeah. So this feels like it should be a bigger deal. His love of animals is enough for him to overpower it.
The actual William Roger Tennant actually is that good. Like, it's not like he's putting on a show. He really is that good, and he loves his birds so much. He loves them more than Chapman loves his daughter.
Yeah, way more. Can you blame him? But that does not come up ever again. It doesn't.
Yeah, no, it's not important. Doesn't matter.
It's just so Marco doesn't die and they don't have to write another way out of it.
Right.
Well, okay.
I don't even know. Why couldn't he just this is stupid. The notes for this part are not, they're not make more sense. They're like, just stop. Make this like one chapter. I'm trying to edit this in a way that it's not necessary.
Yeah, it's a lot. And then we get William Roger Tennant. We get to hear him. I hate saying his name every time. We get to hear him actually talk, or the Yerk talk, and he's basically Sideshow Bob from The Simpsons. He talks like a theatrical Shakespearean villain, not a Shakespearean villain, but a villain who loves Shakespeare.
Yeah, I feel that.
Like he talks like he has a thesaurus on his desk that he's checking to use better words sometimes.
And this is not William Roger Tennant. This is his Yerk. I suspect his Yerk picked up this habit somewhere else.
Yeah, it's so weird, and he's very arch, I suppose is the word.
Mm-hmm. You've made now 2 Simpsons references here, which is actually funny. Your Homer and Bart strangling thing, I actually, in my like summaries later, I used Homer and Bart style, but not in this section. But apparently, maybe Jeffrey Zulka was watching too much Simpsons when he wrote this.
I heard that when Matt Groening was on Epstein's island, he did Homer and Bart style.
Thanks for that one.
Let me just read this. I am a warrior trapped in this hideous charade. You know he said charade.
Oh, for sure.
Can you imagine, little birdie, how it pains me to be nice and kind and polite, morning, noon, and night? How I yearn to lash out, to strike, to kill all the fools that surround me. But I cannot. No, that would not be in character for William Roger Tennant, great advocate of human virtues, caretaker of all life forms. Bah! He says bah.
This is not him, like, he's not giving a speech to the Andalite bandits the way Visser 3 might. This is him talking to his bird alone in his room.
Even Visser 3 is like, are we sure about this guy? Is he okay? I know I can go a bit crazy, but this guy is... Ooh.
That's probably why he lets him do it. He's, it's like, well, I don't know if I can trust a guy who's, like the whole house is full of birds. It's a security risk. The Andalite bandits could be in there at any time. This guy's crazier than me, though. He'll take care of it. Anything shows up, he'll just murder it.
Is this another book where Visser 3 does not show up? I don't think he shows up.
Yeah,
on the phone, maybe.
He's on the other side of the phone and has no line. Well, he probably has lines. I'm sure William Roger Tennant at some point says, yes, Visser 3, as you just said, blah, 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 so that the reader can hear or some shit.
Yes, I think that happens every other line. He's on the phone.
God. Yeah. But yeah, no, basically no Visser 3. Could have been anyone. Could have been Chapman. Doesn't matter that it's Visser 3.
No, I think he says Visser, though. I think he does say that.
Yeah. Maybe it's Visser 7.
Yeah, right. It could be any Visser. Could be a sub Visser. I don't know. Yeah. It is. You would think a guy who has a big talk show would be a sub Visser or something, but I don't know if he is.
Yeah, we don't know. We never find out.
Like, maybe Yerks don't really understand, like, celebrity isn't that important to them. I don't know how they value that level of outreach. You'd think.
You would think. Maybe Visser 3 doesn't. Maybe some of them get it.
Yeah, I don't know. The only other thing I have to say is about the end of this scene, but I don't know if there any...
No, I have a little note about how when I was a kid, we had 2 cockatiels. And I don't remember one of their names. One of them was called Igor. The gray one was Igor, and I'm trying to remember the yellow one's name, and I just cannot do it. But they liked to drink coffee.
They drank coffee?
Yeah. I don't know if it's okay for them to do, but like Igor liked to like stick his beak in coffee. I guess it was okay.
Can cockatiels drink coffee?
Yeah, this is a good question. He didn't die.
Huh. Interesting.
Maybe caffeine doesn't affect them, or maybe it says he should be dead.
Yeah, the first result is even a few sips of these beverages can be extremely hazardous to your feathered pal.
Well, he did it.
May cause increased heart rate, arrhythmias, hyperactivity, and even cardiac arrest in birds.
All right, so nobody else let your bird do this. It was fine, but don't do it.
Jesus Christ. Anyway.
All right.
Now there's another article here that says it has a bunch of math.
Sounds like your kind of article.
I'm not going to read it.
I got you to do this Googling for me.
But the conclusion says, for my own birds, I'm not at all concerned about having them take sips of coffee or tea.
Okay. So it's fine as long as they're just taking a little sip.
He has like math about the amount needed to cause them symptoms or death.
I have done that math for a human to make sure I'm not drinking too much caffeine. And spoilers, it's basically impossible unless you have medical conditions.
0.5 ounces or 15 milliliters is enough to cause symptoms. They need to drink 5 ounces in order to kill them, according to his research.
That's actually a lot for a bird.
Yeah.
0.5 is
So
not a lot, so they probably get symptoms.
yeah, they'd have to drink 3 to 6 times their typical daily intake of water to
Yeah.
feel symptoms of coffee.
Oh, really? That's that much water more than they would normally drink.
It
Interesting.
says they drink 5 milliliters a day. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I guess you were fine.
Yeah, so it was okay. It's all good. So you
Yeah.
can just give your birds coffee. Who cares?
Anyway,
Don't worry about it.
I did like the end of the scene when Marco is a human and he has to jump out the window to escape.
Mhm.
Now, there is no real fallout of this or consequences, but I did think the fact that he has to do it as a human and he's not in morph made it almost one of the more dangerous stunts in the books, because he can't just
Mm.
be like, oh, I can just morph to a bird, or I can't fly out. Like, there's something very low stakes, but in a way that makes it scarier, of just jumping out a window. Like, it's like at least a story up, right? Maybe two. I don't.
Yeah,
Maybe just
he
one.
says
Two would probably
something
kill
like,
you.
"I'm worried about breaking my ankle" or something.
Yeah. So for me, I was like, oh, that actually is relatable. It's not like my wing got torn off or something.
Right.
I thought that was kind of something they could have worked with, but he doesn't break anything.
Yeah.
Nothing happens. They just cut to them being back.
Yeah, no, they don't really. It is true. That is an interesting thing, but like they don't. What they end up doing with Marco having to be human in this book is play it for comedy. They don't really, have to have him get into any situations, and he's got to be very clever about getting out of it or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just too bad.
Too bad.
All right. So yeah, so they all regroup at the barn. Everyone yells at Marco for not telling them about his morphing problems. We establish here that probably he's having these issues because of his emotional troubles. I think that was assumed, but it's said outright here. Marco walks home. He's not allowed to morph. Jake has forbidden him from morphing, so he walks home from the barn. And he's like stewing to himself and hating his life. And when he gets home, he finds that the lights are all out and there's a strange car parked outside. And he's like, "Oh shit, is this a Yerk ambush?" So he decides, well, I gotta risk it. He risks sneaking in, and he immediately gets attacked by Euclid, Nora's obnoxious shitty dog. Because it turns out his dad and Nora were making out in the dark, and they didn't expect him to come home yet. So Marco calms down Euclid by acquiring him, and then him, or is it a her? I don't know. Whatever.
Euclid, because I googled it, is
Yeah.
some Greek
Yes.
mathematician.
Is a Greek mathematician.
So I assume it's a male
Yeah.
dog, but
Yeah. But the one on the cover's got these blue bows. They're very feminine.
yeah, but that's just because poodles are, everybody
That's fair.
feminizes their male poodles.
That's fair. Okay. Yeah, he calms down. He acquires Euclid, and then he storms up to his room. He's like, bleh, dad making out.
Okay.
Hmm.
I mean, we could get into this later more, but
Whatever you want.
the cause of his morphing problems, that it's his emotional distress because of his dad is dating someone, and okay,
Hmm.
and because his mom is dead, or maybe not dead. I'm sure. Don't get me wrong, he's going through a lot.
Hmm.
But you're trying to tell me that up until this point, and
Hmm.
presumably from this point forward, no other Animorph has ever been going through a level of emotional distress to make this happen to them too?
Right?
This is the
And
first time and only time, and Axe has never heard of this either?
it never happened. It didn't happen when Marco found out his mom was alive. It didn't happen when he decided to kill her. It didn't happen to Jake when he thought Tom was about to kill his dad.
It's the idea that none of them have ever had to deal with this is just makes the entire premise
Yeah.
absurd.
And again, it happens because Rachel's allergy was triggered by emotional distress. There was a whole thing where Axe was all like, "You're doing the morph because you have an allergy, but you have to be very calm and unbothered, because if you that will trigger a flare up." And so it's like, okay, well, why does this happen here? Same reason. It made
Well,
sense then,
at
sort of.
least I think maybe the difference is, I don't remember the other book that well, but
Mm.
maybe the difference is for Rachel, it's about her like stability and the
Hmm.
fact that she's too rash.
Yeah.
And for Marco, it's almost the opposite. It's because he doesn't let his feelings out. He stores everything up inside.
Right.
But
Okay.
it's in practice, it's the exact same thing. So it doesn't really matter. But
Yeah, and that doesn't really track because like the I don't know. I guess we will get there, but like it doesn't get solved by Marco being like, "Oh, I need to be more open with my feelings." Like that is
well,
not what solves it.
no. And in this scene, by the way, Jake says, why didn't you say something before, Marco? I'm your best friend. Just put a pin in that quote.
Right?
Cause fuck you, Jake.
Yeah, I mean the more of there's a lot of these discrepancies I hadn't really considered till you're bringing them up now. Yeah, I'm definitely going with this is another book that had no editor.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's the case. Kay Applegate never had an editor. That's why she's allowed to do all the fucked up shit she did. But these ghostwriters are dying out here.
Yeah, they sure are. We have some more lampshading of Animorph issues. I guess lampshading is the term. Maybe we're overusing that term, but
Whatever.
the thing where he's like, "Come on, He even says it. Basically, what we just said. We've all got
Hmm.
problems.
Yeah.
Why would this only be happening to me? Good job saying it out loud, but not doing anything about it. I guess that's what that word means. Anyway,
Yeah. I mean, that is lampshading it.
yeah. So it's
I do that.
appropriate.
Listen, that's a trope that I honestly, it's kind of a pet peeve of mine. I hate it when it's like the justification for something is that I lampshaded it, so it's okay. Like I pointed out that it didn't make sense. So see, now you know that I know, so we're all on the same page, so it's okay. And it's like it's not. That only works
Yeah.
if I'm not taking it seriously and it's a funny joke, or like I don't know. You can't just do that.
I feel like that happens where I can think of that happening so much is video games, as in
Mm-hmm.
a lot of comedic video games will be like, not that there's that many of these to be honest with you, but it's like, oh boy, I guess it's time for the generic boss fight, huh? And then you have to do it.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's even worse that it sucks too. You still made
Yeah.
me do it.
Yeah, you can't just say. Yeah, I mean that joke could work if the generic boss fight was still interesting in some way. But if you're just like, no, I made a shitty thing, and then I decided the joke was that it's bad. Ha
Yeah.
ha.
But sometimes I've said I like this kind of thing when it's David or the Drode, for instance. And he's like, he calls out Cassie specifically, says, "You're a pacifist who spends half her time battling aliens." But again, it's the same. It's the problem we're discussing, which is like, yeah, it's pretty contradictory, but that's still what she does. You're not.
Yeah. I mean, again, I don't have a problem with that particular thing because, like, characters are allowed to be contradictory as long as you explore it, and they do explore it. But here it's just
Yeah.
kind of like, okay, so here's the contradiction, and yeah, there it is. Done. Moving on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is where we get, I'm pretty sure every line Nora gets in the book is in the scene, and it's all just stuff like, I don't know, why Euclid's always so mad. See, he likes you, Marco, when he's acquiring him, and that's basically it. There's nothing, Marco doesn't, like, say anything to her.
Yeah, it sucks, and I hate her. She's a dork, and her dog is a dork.
I mean, I do like this scene. If there were more scenes like this, you could build it into something good, but on its own, it's just kind of like, sure, okay, this is here.
I like that it's a classic Goosebumps style bait and switch.
Mm-hmm.
When he comes, which you can see it coming a mile away when he comes home and there's a car in the driveway and he's like, oh, Yerks must be here. Which I also just did that with Cassie with the Hork-Bajir in the barn. So it's already feels played out from one book ago, but it's like, really, Marco, you can't think of any other possible reason there might be a car in the driveway?
Right.
No one else drives a car. Just only Yerks. So stupid.
I do love my Goosebumps bait and switches.
Yeah, and again, you get a lot of good mental health talk in this chapter too about. I don't know. There's a lot of throughout the book like, oh, this guy needs to take his meds. This guy should be in therapy. This guy's a psycho.
That's true. I
Oh
wasn't
yeah,
really picking up on that, but you're right. There's a lot of that.
oh yeah. When he's doing the lampshading, he says, "We're not exactly the poster children for Mental Health Week." So I guess that's I don't know. That's a thing that exists in 1999. It's being talked about.
Yeah, I guess people do talk about it.
Anyway,
Yeah, get another Axe, classic Axe, Young and the Restless here. Right? Perhaps your father
yeah.
is young and restless. Those who are young and restless frequently change mates.
It is
So,
funny. That's funny.
yeah, that is funny. It's not as good as the men who are young and restless don't wear shirts. I am young. I'm occasionally restless. That's better.
Yeah, it is. It's a retread for sure.
Yeah. Nah, but
Oh,
it's there.
yeah, it's there.
All
Oh
right.
yeah, this is where he says,
Yeah.
by the way, I suppose you could call Ms. Robinette pretty.
Mm.
She has dark hair and very smooth, fair skin.
Mm.
So
Getting
there
a
you
little
go.
Buffalo Bill there.
Yeah, for sure. I'd fuck Marco. Would you fuck Marco? Okay.
Okay. All right. So, okay.
Here we go. Let's
Are
get
you
into it.
okay? All right. So Marco spends the weekend practicing morphs with no problem. So Jake is like, "Okay, you can go on this mission. I'll give you a chance." All right. They're going to infiltrate this Solid Citizen Awards banquet, and they're going to make Tennant act like a crazy psycho again, and it'll ruin his reputation. They fly out there as seagulls. They infiltrate it as cockroaches. The idea is they're going to go in his salad and run out and freak him out in front of everybody, and he'll throw a tantrum. Marco demorphs and pretends to be like a busboy, and he's like, "Oh, you guys need to put aside a special salad for Tennant because he doesn't like tomatoes," and he puts the others in it as roaches, and he goes off to morph into a spider and join them, but he fails, and he accidentally goes half skunk, half spider instead. Some shenanigans ensue when some guys see him and freak out, blah, 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 whatever. He decides to stay as a human and deliver them instead as a waiter. So he's going to go out there, deliver the salad, but he gets stopped by Marcel the chef, who makes him do a bunch of chef work instead. He has to go empty the pig bucket, which is, I guess, where the uneaten food goes. And someone else ends up serving the salad, and they take it to the wrong table. Hanson, the band Hanson, is attending this banquet, and the salad gets served to Hanson. And when the Animorphs come out as cockroaches, they freak out Hanson instead of Roger Tennant. So they try again, and this time they decide that Axe should help Marco for some reason of all people. So they're both busboys now. And they're going to attempt to deposit the others as fleas on Tennant's head. And of course Marco this time has to go empty the pig bucket again. And Axe goes crazy and eats everybody's food. But whatever, anyway, they get him on his head and he gives his speech and they spend all speech biting him. But he doesn't go crazy, he rides it out, and their mission's a failure and everything, it doesn't matter, everything they did. At this point, I checked. We are 75% of the way through the book.
All right.
All right.
I got a quick update for you and for everybody listening. As of about 10 minutes ago, the Puppy Bowl is currently a tied game. First quarter is finished. 14-14. Team Fluff and Team Rough are tied.
Ooh, I'm voting Rough.
Ooh, I think I gotta go Fluff.
Ooh, well, we'll find out, maybe. I don't think we will.
We'll see. We can keep the podcast going until it's over.
I'm sure we are more than capable of having this go as long as we want.
Now, okay, anyway, this book, though.
Here
God,
we
I wish
are.
we were covering the Puppy Bowl instead. We'd be good commentators for that. They should get us.
I
They should
agree.
book us. Um,
This whole section to me, it feels like this is a guy who is not funny, trying his damnedest to be funny for a bunch of kids. Like he's trying so hard to be funny, and he's just not, and it's extremely exhausting to read. And when I sat down and like reread this section for this week, I stopped multiple times because I was like, I don't want to keep. I just need to stop for a second here.
Now I am wondering, because this was the section where I wrote this book sucks.
Uh huh.
But I also said this probably would have been hilarious when I was 12. Do you recall if you found this hilarious at age 12?
I don't recall this section from age 12. So maybe I did, but I have like no memories of it. I like have to every time I've gone back and reread the series, I like have to remember what happened. I remember it's basically the same as book 12, but I don't remember any details and I have to remember it and then I purge it from my memory again. It's like Star Wars episode 2 where I don't remember what happened in it until I rewatch it every time.
Yeah, because you're saying this guy's not funny, but I do think maybe when I was a kid, I might have loved this. I think I might have thought this was so much fun. Oh my God, the antics, the shenanigans. I can't believe it's still going. It keeps one-upping itself in terms of how ridiculous it is. I think I know for a fact I would have thought the Peak Bucket was really funny.
That does sound like the sort of thing I would have thought was funny as a kid, but as I said, I do not remember it at all.
Yeah, fair enough.
So.
The Peak Bucket is it's so broad and it's so strange. A part of me does kind of like the Pig Bucket.
I mean, I'll give you, there's potential with the Pig Bucket.
It reminds me of, it makes me think of Bill and Ted when they're at the mall and they go to Ziggy Piggy. They go Ziggy Piggy, and I think it's because maybe Napoleon goes and he's like, oh, Ziggy Piggy. That's what's making me think of that.
That would line up, yeah.
They do it though too many times. Like the French waiter comes back like 5 times.
Yeah, and you'll notice that they kept having to be like, Marco can't be there because he would do it right, so he's got the time to bring up the Pig Bucket again. And Marco keeps, I will do the Pig Bucket, says Marco. And as you said, Axe is like, where's Marco? He is doing the Pig Bucket, says Axe in thought speak.
Which I guess you could say like, oh, he's just like he thinks that's how you say it or something.
I guess.
Could be funny, but it just feels weird to me in context. Then Marco has a line about, oh yeah, they're here. They must be here for Hanson. Like Hanson's here too. He just says that to somebody.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, oh, that's just Marco. Like that's a funny joke because obviously Hanson's not here.
Right.
And then Hanson is there.
Yeah, they're solid citizens. Can we talk about the Solid Citizen Awards? What the fuck?
Yeah,
it's so stupid.
It's a bad name. It sounds bad. I don't even know what that means. It's but there's the scene with Hanson where there's just like the entire page is just people going ah. Which again, I think as a kid I would have probably thought that was great. So I don't know. Maybe
I do think a number of people are like, "Oh yeah, that's the book where they're in Hanson's salad," and I'm like, "Yeah, I guess there's a book where that happens." I'd never remember that.
The skunk spider scene also, where he's a half is he a half skunk, half spider? Yeah.
Yeah, they say a skiter or possibly a spunk.
Yeah, right. I didn't need any of that. It's so you could just wipe that from the book. They're chasing him. It's
this is
gross.
The someday all horses will be blue section. Only in this case, they're like, it's an omen of the end times.
It's just stupid. Just shut up. I don't need any of that. At this point, the big problem here I was realizing as I was reading this was I am not invested in this story at all.
Yeah.
I think because, and I guess maybe you could tell me Jeremy Jason McCall was either the same or different in this way, but aren't Yerks constantly converting kids to the sharing every single day? I understand that this guy is on TV, but it just seems like they're going through so much effort for a really half-assed
Mhm.
plan that doesn't really make sense. For this one guy who's like, there's not bigger fish for you to fry right now. There's not actual enemies and Yerk plans that are more important than one guy answering calls on TV. Like, yeah, they're recruiting kids in your school every week. Why are you worried so much about this guy as opposed to
Mhm.
every other guy?
Yeah, I mean, let's contrast that with Jeremy Jason McCall. I mean, the first and most important issue is that that was book 12 and this is book 35. So,
Yes.
like, if you have a smaller scale story, it's kind of like, okay, sure, right? We've only had so many stories. Like, what are the issues? Like, whatever. And in book 35, it's like, okay, there are bigger issues. We know there are bigger issues. We're done with this a story on this scale. We've had 3 times as many books. Secondly, in book 12, all of the guys agreed with you. Tobias and Marco and Jake were like, who cares about this guy? Cassie
Mm.
and Rachel were like, but we love him. Also, there's a scene where Rachel, just to probe, is like, hey, Jordan, well, what do you think about Jeremy Jason McCall if he was like promoting something? And Jordan is like, if he told me to kill myself, I'd do it. Or basically. So like they're dealing with that to some extent at least. And here it's just like, yeah, this is here because it's the story because we needed to fill these pages with something.
Yeah, he's on TV. Let's go. Mission
Yeah.
started.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just completely, the stakes here don't seem important to me at all for the amount of effort they're going through, and they fail like 3 times and they just keep trying.
Hmm.
And I also, just the general end goal of, we're gonna make him do a public freak out, it's just such a, that's not what you came up with. There's not a, I don't know, it just, I don't like any part of it.
Yeah, like there's going to be cockroaches in his salad and he's going to start screaming and the tabloids will do a big thing and people will forget about it the next day. This is not a Kramer situation. You're not making him say the N-word here. Right? Like you need a better plan than that.
Yeah, it sucks. The fleas biting him, it's like, what, he can just scratch him. What the
Yeah.
fuck? That's a terrible plan.
Yeah.
Terrible plan.
It's not good.
Horrible plan. In fact, he might like kill you. He might scratch you and squish you as a flea. It's a
Yeah.
terrible idea. Horrible.
100% agreed.
And the scene goes on, as you said,
Yeah.
forever.
It goes on forever. Yeah, no, at like when I was putting together my like okay, outline sections, I kept being like, am I gonna end? It feels like I should have like stopped to talk about what's happening by this point, but it feels like I have nothing to say yet. Like we're not done. I have to throw like a third of the book into this section.
Yeah, well, I'm done with this section of the book. I don't know about you.
I got 2 phrases I'm going to go to. One is that Marco calls the plan a 10 on the 10-point insanity scale, which is capitalized 10-point insanity scale. So I just want you to know Marco has an insanity scale.
Okay, good to know.
Right, so he can rate missions on it. Axe also has a line that I actually think is a good Axe line, where he says, I am quite capable of this simple maneuver. Marco was merely concerned that I would go postal, but I have no mail. The
More
mail
mental
thing's
health.
a little dumb, but I do like Marco was merely concerned that I would go postal.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sure.
and just a little point here. They do mention this is the same Marriott resort. They don't say the word Marriott, but it's the same Marriott resort from the David trilogy.
Oh wow, I missed that.
Yeah, it's very brief. They're like last time we were here, it was heavily guarded because there were presidents and stuff, but this time they don't really give a shit because it's just some guys.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah, so that's fun.
Wow, yeah. I remember that book. Wow.
Yeah, that was those were the days.
Wow, 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 wow,
Remember
wow.
the end of season 2 instead of.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh, that was good.
All right, so they fucked their mission up. They failed their mission. Whatever. Marco is sitting at home eating cookies and moping, and Cassie shows up to try to like therapize him. Is that the word?
Mm-hmm.
Therapyize,
The rape I sim.
therapist him, and because she can tell that he blew another morph. He didn't tell anybody that he did the spunk, but Cassie knows. And Marco basically just blows her off because he doesn't want to talk about his feelings. So the Animorphs decide to move forward with their next plan here, which is that Marco is going to start morphing Euclid and harass Tennant everywhere he goes, just constantly. Every time Tennant does everything, this fucking annoying dog is going to start yapping on at him and biting him and peeing on him, and it's just going to build and build and build until eventually he explodes. So Marco starts doing all this shit to him. Uh, anyway, the that Friday evening, he comes home and his dad sits him down to have a talk. He says that he and Nora have been talking about getting married, and it's time for him to move on from his mom. He's like, your mom is dead, and I need to move on with my life. And I understand that you still think about her, and I still love her, but it's time for me to move on and get married. He asks Marco for approval. He says, I want you to approve of this marriage, and I won't go ahead with it if you say no. And Marco basically says, fuck this, fuck yourself, and gets up and leaves. All right.
Mm.
I will say a lot of Cassie's therapy here basically just functions as exposition. Like, so much of what could be an interesting and good interaction is just Cassie spouting recap at him. I do like basically everything he says in response when he's blowing her off, but
yeah, I'll. This is part of the book. Mainly is for me the reason I say this book is uneven instead of just outright terrible. I actually really like this scene with him and Cassie. I think it's nice. Like it goes on for a while. It's not just a in and out. We're done. You actually get a full back and forth conversation where they're allowed to talk to each other. And maybe it's kind of exposition-y, but I think it fits with the fact that it makes sense to me that Marco's character, he is the guy who bottles everything up. He makes jokes instead of talking about his feelings. And it makes sense that Cassie's the one who would come to him and say, you can't keep doing this. This is bad. I like all that. I think all of that is good, smart character stuff that is in line with these characters at this point. So, the problem is it comes after the most absurd fucking comedic scene that's like half the book. So it's tonally very inconsistent, but I was like, oh, we're settling down here at least. I thought in a vacuum, this is a really good scene. I also, it gave me some fuel to ship Marco with Cassie.
Okay.
He
Always
says,
happy to give you some fuel. Yeah.
Does Jake know you're flirting with me? Which I think, by the way, there was a fanfic I read that must have borrowed heavily from this scene. Like, I think this scene probably launched any Cassie Marco shipping for this.
That's fair. Yeah, I basically agree with everything you said in that I really like the idea of this scene. I like the character motivations. I think that this is like an important and necessary scene. And I like Marco's half of the scene. I think that Cassie, the way she approaches it, feels very, I don't know, like it doesn't, I don't read it and feel like, oh, this is somebody who desperately wants me to open up. I read it and I feel like it almost feels like the author doesn't know how Cassie should approach this, and so he's just kind of having her exposit at him because he's not really sure what she should be doing here.
Well, she's a teenager, right? You could kind of.
That's fair. Like, it's reasonable to say she wouldn't be good at it, but I feel Cassie would be good at it.
Yes, because yes, you think she should have a PhD in psychiatry as well as being a neurosurgeon.
Listen, if there's one thing Cassie should be good at,
she can open up a brain. She should be able to analyze one.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I get it.
But yeah, no, I mean, listen, Marco blowing off Cassie is great. I really like the line where Cassie says, like, "Oh, I know the guy code is that you never talk about your feelings," and Marco says, "Who told you about the guy code? That's top secret." That line feels very real.
Yeah, all that stuff. But yeah, it's that is very good. That theme of the masculine bottling up. She also says Rachel's parents are divorced, and he says, "And look what a pillar of mental health she is."
Yeah, that's great.
2 for 1, Rachel roast and another mental health reference.
Yeah.
So
boom.
it's
It's
you see
great.
what I'm saying in this book.
I do like Marco at some point here is like, why am I the only one losing? And he's like, everybody's got their problems. Tobias isn't losing it. And I was like, Tobias is fucking losing it, dude. Are you shitting me?
Well, Tobias is the same as him. They don't know about each other's problems, right?
I mean, I guess, but like, you're gonna look at Tobias. Everybody knows that Tobias is like is way too bird. Like, do you think that there's not a single person on this team who could possibly, even if they don't know what his problems is? Like, you look, I feel like Jake has had multiple lines where he's just like, and Tobias is. I mean, Jesus Christ, I don't even know what the fuck Tobias's problem is. Like,
honestly,
you know he's in crisis.
I don't know. I feel like Tobias doesn't like hang out with anyone but Rachel. I think that they're just like, yeah, Tobias shows up on the mission, he claws out of Hork-Bajir's eyes, and he goes back to the woods. Like, I think they just don't know what the fuck's going on with him.
Okay, I buy it. Maybe Marco just legitimately doesn't even realize how fucked up Tobias is.
Yeah, and Marco is also just like, whatever. Like,
yeah,
I mean, he even says
for it. Yeah.
Like Cassie says, they'd never tell you, and he says, yeah, guy code. It's like, right. So yeah, it is kind of there.
That's fair.
But yeah, you know. So yeah, this scene almost at least somewhat redeems this book existing for me. Like this is, and just that's a general premise.
Yeah, like I said, I like this scene. I would want to save this scene even if I threw out most of the book. I might want it touched up a bit, but it's generally good.
The problem with it for me again is that I still can't, even if they are discussing it, I just don't understand the logic of he has this morphing problem and no one else ever has.
Yeah, like you kind of just have to read this scene like Cassie can tell that Marco is in crisis. He doesn't have a morphing problem. Fuck that. Who gives a shit about that? That sucks. Throw it out.
Yes.
Cassie's just showed up at his house to talk to him and he's not having it.
It could have just been like he could just be screwing up these missions because he's distracted and it's not a morph thing.
Yeah, I mean, like, what about the earlier when he didn't have a morph problem? He just couldn't control his bird morph and started screaming and shitting, right? Like,
right.
It's not like this would not be the first time that people have had trouble controlling morphs because they had emotional issues too. Where a lot of times, it's like, oh, but I really like being in the predator mind, so I just didn't fight it. So then I fucked something up. So like that wouldn't be out of the ordinary. Yeah, he could be screwing up missions.
Yeah,
this is easy.
For me, yes, that fix makes this scene work 100%. It's just it's that little thing. Anyway,
makes sense.
And then the proposal, whatever. Honestly, that part I don't even care about. Who cares?
I mean, I did like some of the ways Marco talked about it and thought about it. I like the way. So there's a bit where he says. He's betraying her. He was setting her aside, consigning her to the past. He was killing her. And I do like this idea of Marco, like Marco sort of imagining this as like, well, we're still loving her and that's keeping her here. But by moving on, he's sort of like killing her memory. And then that sort of being contrasted against the fact that Marco's actually potentially trying to kill her, and is she still alive? It's an interesting thing. There's another parallel drawn when his dad is like, we won't go ahead with it the marriage unless you say so, Marco, and he says, and he thinks to himself like, oh yeah, sure. I'll decide if my dad is happy or not. If my mom is still my mom, I'll decide if she lives or if she
Mm.
dies.
Hmm.
Like it's good. It's fun. You know, again, more
It's
chapters like
fun.
this, less chapters like the rest of the book.
Yeah, I agree. All those parts I thought were really good, and it kind of fucked up of Marco's dad to be like, "It's on you, buddy."
Yeah, my
Like
parents didn't do that to me when I got divorced.
that feels when you got divorced.
Yeah, when I got divorced. No, when my parents got divorced, they never asked my permission to get to date other people or get remarried. That's
Yeah,
weird.
it is. It is very. It's a lot of pressure to put on your son,
Yeah,
but
it's a lot. Yeah, it's
but
interesting. I was
yeah.
thinking about this. This book, I'm almost positive, must have come out before my parents got divorced, and
Huh.
so maybe that's not
Yeah.
weird to me. Or
Hmm.
like I'm trying to decide, like at the time, because I feel like I didn't think that that was weird at the time, and it might be because I didn't have anything to contrast it with.
Perhaps. Yeah. I don't think I read any divorce I wasn't reading these books at this
Yeah.
point, so yeah.
Because this would have been, I think this would have been fourth grade for me, beginning of fourth grade. And I know the problem is that the divorce process takes a long
That
time, right?
sounds
It's
right.
like, I know they're going to get divorced. Oh, my dad moved out. Oh, now they're officially divorced. And I think that was a fifth grade thing, but I don't know the exact timeline.
I
I
also
don't know.
didn't for me, I mainly lived with my mom. My dad, I don't why are we
Mm.
talking about our personal lives right now?
What else you want to talk about? The book?
Yeah, you're right. I don't know. My dad did date and get remarried, but I didn't
Mm.
live with him full time, so it wasn't like I had to deal with. Eventually, I had to deal with him being around a woman who wasn't my mom, but it wasn't the
Sure.
same thing as like she's in my living room while I'm playing video games or whatever.
Gotcha. Yeah, I
Yeah.
had a totally different thing where I changed houses every 2 weeks. I was 2 weeks with my mom, then 2 weeks with my dad.
God, interesting. Yeah, I was
Eh,
only. Yeah, I got much less time with my dad because fuck, man.
right. Right, exactly.
You didn't push me out. Fuck off. You don't deserve anything.
Anyway,
So
all right.
then
So
what happens?
so they've been riling Tennant up all week. So they head to his studio for his live show, and they're gonna get him to get pissed off and start fucking up and trying to kill Marco as Euclid um on live TV. It's basically exactly what they wanted to do with Jeremy Jason McCall, effectively, have him freak out on live TV. Whatever. Anyway, so he tries to morph into Euclid, but accidentally he goes half polar bear, half dog, and he goes on like a fucking rampage because he's got the crazy aggressive dog, but he's also a polar bear.
Wait,
Um,
did we even talk about like the montage of him being a poodle attacking him?
I mentioned that it happened. I don't think we talked about it.
Okay. Well, I feel like it kind of lumps in with this, so I'll let you
Okay, yeah,
finish.
we'll talk about it here then. Yeah. All right, so he's menacing him. He's about to kill Tennant as this polar bear dog, and Jake is like, Marco, you need to get it the fuck together. And Cassie's like, Jake, you need to be gentle. He's having a rough time. And Jake is like, shut the fuck up, Cassie. You don't understand the guy code. Marco just needs to suck it up and get his shit together and fucking cope. And it works. And Marco goes from this weird hybrid into just a pure poodle. And then Tennant starts strangling him, as I have here, Homer and Bart style. Uh, and then they broadcast it live, and he's ruined, and the day is saved because they caught him choking a dog on live TV.
Which is not a euphemism.
Right,
Choking the poodle over here.
right.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. So, like I said, I did. I just want to say that I did think that poodle attack montage was actually kind of funny.
I liked the poodle attack montage, and like I also like the poodle attack montage because it's part of like a plan that's actually building to something and goes somewhere and ends the
Yes.
storyline as opposed to just meandering for 40 pages.
Yes. That like if the whole idea, which I still think is kind of dumb, is to make him freak out in front of people. At least this makes sense to me. A
Yeah.
guy freaking out about bugs in his salad doesn't make sense. A guy
Yeah.
kicking a dog or whatever who's supposed to love animals, that, okay, I can see it.
Yeah, absolutely. That would get people like pissed. And like it also kind of makes sense where it's just like if he just shows up on live TV and okay, we're just going to get him pissed off and strangling this dog. You really think he can't control that shit even though he acts kind of psychotic? He can. So it's like, all right, we're going to spend an entire week harassing him so he's at the end of his rope here.
I'm just picturing like I really did think of it in my head as like in Ace Ventura when he has to check out all the football players to see who has the missing ring or whatever in the one scene. They play some 90s upbeat song while it's fucking what's that Third Eye Blind song?
Oh God. I don't remember
Do
which
do
song, but
do
yeah.
do 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 do
Yeah.
do do. God, why can't I think of my
That's
brain is
semi-charmed.
Semi-Charmed Life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Semi-charmed life, yeah.
Yeah, well, there's just scene after scene of it's like Big Fat Liar or something with Paul
Yeah.
Giamatti, like just all the ways they're like fucking with him. That's funny.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I could easily imagine this as a like mid-budget '90s comedy montage. Like just
Yeah.
every time he's everywhere. There's that fucking dog again.
Yeah, like that's not if you honestly like if you got rid of the other bad scenes and you just had
Mhm.
more family stuff leading up to this or I don't this it works. The poodle stuff does work better for the plot,
Yeah.
but whatever. Jake.
Uh-huh. I have his exact quote here. Because I was
Okay.
paraphrasing earlier. It's not that different, though. What he says is, we have zero time for your self-pity. I don't care what your problems are. You deal with this right now.
And again, as earlier in the book, why wouldn't you tell me anything? I'm your best friend. I don't give a fuck about your problems.
I don't know. That doesn't sound that off for guys. Or it's like, if I hear about your problems, I'm going to tell you to shut the fuck up. But then when the problems actually come to a boil, I'm like, why didn't you talk to me about it? I'm your friend. Doesn't sound wrong.
And he also like Cassie should fucking dump his ass after this because Cassie's like, hey, come on, Jake, come on, please. And Jake's like, you don't understand, bitch. Shut the fuck up, okay? This is for us dudes.
Yeah, we're guys. We're bros.
It's like, oh my God. He's such an asshole in this scene.
I do like it, but
I guess it's in character for him. I mean, he has been building to this and it makes some sense as a leader for him to be like, we can't be doing this. Like, we're soldiers. Like,
yeah,
fucking get in line. We are fighting a war here, except that in this case, the war is fucking poodle attacks.
Yeah. And to be fair, we're not in the fucking barn, right? Like, we're right here. We're on the god. Like, here's the guy. This is the mission. This is not the time. Yeah.
But the problem is that the book treats this like this was the unambiguously the correct thing for him to do and say.
Yeah.
it's just this is Jake knows Marco so well is the outcome here.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I know Marco. What works for him, his problem is not that he should talk about his feelings. Right. You don't understand. You're trying to, you're coming at this from the wrong angle. Marco needs to just remember that everything's a joke and doesn't matter because that's Marco. So if you just tell him that, then he'll just stop having the feelings. And it works. And he's right.
Yeah. I mean, this sort of thing would fit better with Cassie has had this thing happen before where it's like Cassie always knows what to say. And sometimes she doesn't say what is needed to make the person feel better. She says what they need to hear to make them like go on. And then she feels bad about it afterward. This does fit as the kind of thing where like, Cassie should be saying, Marco, you need to just shut the fuck up and suck it up and cope. And then sits around hating herself for saying it, but it worked kind of thing. Cause it got him through it, even though, and there is a part earlier where she's talking to him and she gives him like a speech where her dad said like, deal with what is, and it was like, listen, Marco, I know you don't want to talk about your feelings, but the facts are the facts and you have to find a way to deal with it. So they're sort of doing that, but Really, it's Jake telling Marco that he fucking sucks and needs to stop having feelings that solves it. And again, it's not that it solves it and that it gets him through the mission. It's that it solves it and that this emotional overload thing that's happening because he's bottling up his feelings goes away or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, update, the halftime show of the Puppy Bowl is happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
And do you know who's performing for the Puppy Bowl halftime show?
I don't.
It's kittens. They actually have DJ Whiskers featuring Pursher. That's instead of Usher, it's Pursher.
Jesus, I did not get that because it was too bad.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, moving on, end of the book.
Yeah, end of the book. All right. So Marco copes. He copes not just with this mission, but he copes with his dad getting remarried, and he gives his dad the okay, and they get married. And that all happens off screen. We basically jump straight to the wedding. And the Animorphs are all hanging out at the wedding. And Nora moves in with them, and her stupid shitty dog moves in with them too. But then twist, surprise, last paragraph twist, last like 3-sentence twist. The phone rings, and Marco lets it go to answering machine, and on the answering machine, his mom's voice says, "Marco, if you're there, pick up." And it says, "To be continued in Visser."
Well, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
First,
Mm-hmm. You can do it.
This fast forward right to the wedding immediately. Right. I must assume, I have to assume this isn't like jump to a year later, because the Animorphs series takes place, it seems, roughly in real time, like or every month or so as the books come out.
Yeah.
So they're just getting married? Like, how long have they been dating for, and they're married this fast?
Yeah. Like, I could see, like, they've been planning it for a long time, but they've been being very bad and hiding it from Marco until the last second. But, we've never seen Nora before. Why have we never seen... Like, this would be better... the whole proposal would be better if Marco's dad started dating Nora in book, like, 25, and then she also showed up in book 30, and then here he gives the okay for them to get married, and then in book 40 they get married or something.
I'm trying to think. I think maybe there was a reference to him dating in one of those books.
Maybe there was,
but certainly I don't. It's possible.
But they don't mention Nora.
Yeah, I don't think they did. I was like, maybe they could have, but I don't think so. Anyway, yes, that would be better. Or just they could be engaged. Why jump right to the wedding? It's a big enough move that they're engaged, and she moves in with. It's just such a massive change. Immediately.
I mean, imagine if his dad had said like she's thinking about moving in or something like that, and then that was the big thing, and now she moved in, and we don't. Yeah,
that's big enough. That's big. Why a wedding? And also, why did she invite all of Marco's friends to their wedding? That's not custom. All of your son's 5 best friends don't also come to your wedding.
None of my friends came to my parents' wedding.
Yeah, I mean, I was young. I was like 11 or 12, maybe 10. But they didn't. Yeah, that's weird.
Dad but I want to say my dad got remarried when I was like 14 or something. Like I would have been close-ish to Animorph's age.
Okay, yeah, it's very strange either way.
It is weird. Yeah.
Rachel's definitely hot for Marco here. She cries at the wedding. To which Marco says, "I didn't know you had actual tear ducts, Rachel." Ha. One last jab. One last one. You had to get in there. Mm-hmm. And then she says, "There's a lot of things you don't know about me, Marco."
Whoa.
Yeah, whoa. And then he's like, "It's the tux, isn't it?"
Whoa, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised Tobias isn't. I feel like he's jealous. He's very jealous.
Tobias is weird. It feels like Tobias is like
He's into it.
we've seen a number of times where it kind of feels like Tobias gets jealous, but he doesn't feel entitled to it, so he just never like maybe he'll make a snarky remark and then just never like he's not actually going to get mad about it.
Tobias definitely wants a bird cage that he'll refer to as his cuck cage.
The cuck cage.
He sits in and steers while he watches Rachel, we'll say, make out with Marco.
The problem with this is that Marco can be an actual bull.
Jesus Christ. Oh my God. We're getting canceled for this one.
We are. Yeah, this podcast is the end for us. No.
Someday this podcast will be over. We'll have forgotten all about it, and I'm gonna be in court for something, and they're gonna just read off a list of quotes from this podcast. I'm gonna be like, "Yeah, lock me up, Judge. I forget it.
I said it.
I can't deny it.
Pay the price."
It was AI, maybe. Okay, here's the look. There's more. There's more to say. I have more.
Yeah, keep going. I'm not gonna lie. I was strongly considering having an entire section that was just the twist, but I didn't have enough to say about the wedding. So,
well, yeah. I mean, I guess this isn't about the wedding. This is now. I'm getting to just the conclusion of this plot.
Mm-hmm.
They say that William Roger Tennant disappears after this.
He's canceled.
He's never seen again. Clearly, the Yerks murdered him.
That's that might well be true.
Yes! What else are they going to do? If you expose him and ruin his career, he has no use to them anymore. They can't set him free. He's dead! They are responsible for this man's death. And what did they think was going to happen? This is what was going to happen. And don't they actually say, isn't this a plot point in the reaction? Isn't this more of a thing where they're like worried about what Jeremy, I guess he's not actually yerked yet, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah, he moves to Uzbekistan where there probably aren't any yerks. Yeah, I think we did go over that when we talked about that book. Yeah.
At least they tried. This one, they're just like, we made it so he's not on TV anymore. What about the human being? Fuck him. Who cares?
You know, I was going to say maybe they don't care because they're at that point, but like, why didn't they just let Marco kill him as a polar bear dog? And he would be dead.
Yeah, he's dead either way. He's dead. Yeah. He's fucking dead.
Yeah. I mean, I guess they could have martyred him. They could have been all like, he was a cherished member of the sharing and he loved the sharing and you should all, I don't know. It's stupid. Why am I talking about this?
And then here's one of the final little quotes from Marco summing up this book.
Mm-hmm.
What my mom taught me, did she? I don't know. While some things are just plain awful, most things in life can be seen either as tragic or comic, and it's your choice. Is life a big, long, tiresome slog from sadness to regret to guilt to resentment to self-pity? Or is life weird, outrageous, bizarre, ironic, and just stupid? Gotta go with stupid. We have joked about this before, but this is literally Marco becoming the Joker. That is the moral of this book is you should become the Joker. And
the Joker, baby.
If I had read this book as a kid, I think it would have fucked me. I probably would have. I identify with Marco. He's funny. I think he's fun. Mm-hmm. I probably would have read this and been like, yeah, that's how I feel. Yeah, this is the cool kind of guy I want to be. Don't talk about your feelings. Be the funny guy. I will become the Joker. Like 100%, I would have taken this advice to heart. I think this book is dangerous.
Maybe you did.
This is like fucking
sure you aren't the Joker?
Catcher in the Rye for 12-year-olds. Yeah. I think in some ways I am.
Dangerous book.
This should
be I like that assessment. Catcher in the Rye for 12-year-olds.
I guess maybe you actually read Catcher in the Rye when you're 12. No, I guess that's more high school.
Yeah, I don't remember when I read it. I wasn't that much older than 12, but at that age, like even a couple of years is a lot older.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I was disappointed after I read Catcher in the Rye because I immediately Googled and found out that John Lennon was already dead. I was like,
Mm,
"Fuck!"
that makes sense. I get
Because
why you would
I
feel like
just
that.
had this
Hmm.
urge. I was real pissed. Okay, you want to
So
talk about the twist now, or?
yeah, I mean, uh, so first off, are you excited for Visser?
Well, I don't want to talk about it too much because obviously we'll have two
Yeah,
episodes to cover Visser, and
yeah, that's a little teaser for
but
you.
but I am very curious because my assumption was that Visser was just a Visser 3 book, and this is telling me that maybe it's a Visser 1 book. And it's directly leading off of this cliffhanger, so I do not know what that's going to mean. So
Hmm.
that's
Yeah, I mean,
interesting.
as a kid, this was hype. Uh, like, regardless of the rest of the book, this was extremely hype. It's like, oh shit, Visser's coming out, and you know, the phone call. It's a cliffhanger to be continued. We haven't had any to be continues other than like the David trilogy.
Yeah, and
That's
not even to be continued in the next number. This is a
right.
separate book. I did wonder, like, did she write Visser first and then was like, by the way, you should make this lead into that, or did they have this planned earlier? I'm always
I'm
curious
like
about that.
positive she planned something around this, but I don't know. I don't know how much it because the ending really kind of is a little tacked on. It doesn't need to be there.
No.
They don't spend that much time with Marco like saying like is she alive, is she dead, what do I feel about that. It kind of just says is she alive, is she dead. Marco has feelings, but he shouldn't have them. Um, the Nora plotline feels like it's supposed to be about this because we've got this phone call that's going to lead in. Yeah, like I said before, it feels like Kay Applegate wanted this book to tie to like lead into Visser through this cliffhanger, had this basic idea for it because of that, and then gave no outline.
Yeah.
Just gave that idea.
Yes, like I said, the book I think is very uneven. I like the
Hmm.
character stuff. I'm kind of I'm okay even though it feels weirdly rushed. At least Marco having a stepmom, like that's a development, that's
Hmm.
something.
Yeah, it
And
is a new thing.
she is kind of a MILF.
Hmm.
And but to me this book has comedic and serious tones that just don't mesh at all together.
Hmm.
And some of it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not overall. It is not good.
Yeah, I mean, for me, this book is so, in many ways, very boring because, as you said multiple times throughout, you said, like, I just don't care about this. And there's so much of this where
Mhm.
I'm just like, what are we doing? I don't give a shit about this. I don't give a shit about any of that. Like, why we're still doing this? What is this? This doesn't matter. It doesn't go anywhere. I don't care about it at all. And I still have to read it. Yeah, I think this might be my least favorite book up till this point. I don't know that I would have said
Wow.
that before doing this podcast, but like right from my current vantage point, I feel like worse about this book having finished it than I think I have about any other book having finished it on the podcast.
Wow. I
I
mean, we're gonna do our season rankings in a few
Yeah.
weeks, so we'll get to that. But
Hmm.
it's certainly this book has parts I did like. There are
Hmm.
some books that don't have parts that I like. So
Okay. Okay.
I can't say it's my least favorite, but
I fully understand that.
it
Yeah.
might have some of the lowest lows. It's close.
Yeah.
It's not great.
We'll see. Like I said, I would not have listed this as my least favorite of the first 35 books until right now. But
Yeah, we're just reaching our breaking points maybe.
yeah. Oh, we're getting broken in a little bit here.
Well, it's time now for about 45 minutes of pop
Yeah.
culture references from this book.
Yeah, this is the second half of the podcast.
That's right. We had our halftime show,
Right.
and now it's time for this. As often happens when we get to this point of the podcast, I'm going to try to go through these a little quickly, but no promises. Here we go. In order from the beginning. Marco says, "For I am the Lord of the PlayStation."
Mhm.
And with his dad, he references, pick a game, any game. Tekken, Duke Nukem, NFL Blitz. I didn't look up, actually. I need to look this up. Like I said,
I
no
don't know that you
promises.
do.
Okay. I wasn't sure. I was like, does Duke Nukem even have a multiplayer mode? Duke Nukem, yes, it did have co-op and deathmatch modes. Okay. What do I
Okay.
know? I didn't play it.
Glad we established that.
Okay. I'll crush you like Doc Martens crush ants.
I think we're
His
in
dad.
paragraph 1.
His dad is laughing at all his lame jokes like he was Chris Rock. Cultural appropriation, Marco. Careful. Is not exactly using a walker and getting discounts at the Steak and Ale. I don't know what that is. That's a restaurant? Is that like a country buffet? Steak and Ale?
Sure. I don't know what that is either.
This woman my dad has gone all sweet and low for. Not a
Mhm.
real thing anyone's ever said before. What is that? Tennant, as we'll see, gets brought up a few times, loves lava lamps. He has 6-foot tall lava lamps, as we've established previously. That is a trademark term.
Mhm.
He talks about his dad's middle-aged Romeo impression, which I thought maybe that was like Romeo the the rapper or the R&B
I don't know about
guy.
this.
But no, I realized it's Romeo and Juliet. Well, it's the 90s. I didn't know. Flying around in a pair of Levi's, the garbage cans my dad had bought at Home Depot. Yes, it was very important that we knew where he bought those garbage cans from. Rachel is mad because she's missing Felicity, which Tobias also is missing because they watch it together. Add Felicity to the Patreon queue. Now this one, okay, I don't think this really counts, but I added it just in case. Marco refers to them as Blondie and Bird Boy. And it's the start of the sentence. So he's probably just capitalizing Blondie because it's the beginning of the sentence, but he could be referencing the comic strip Blondie.
That's fair. That's fair.
And of course, the classic Blondie films.
Classic, of course.
Tennant, didn't he write all those Men Are From Jupiter, Women Are From Venus books? It was from Mars, but books, real books nonetheless. Chicken Soup for Whatever They Say. I'm Okay, You're Messed Up. I don't know if that was another book parody title. I'm Okay,
Must
You're
have
Messed
been,
Up.
but I don't know what it is.
Yes, like Oprah. Rachel wants Marco to go online without spending 3 hours cruising Baywatch websites. Sure. Oh, there are some. We got some weird ones here. Marco says, I should be asleep right now or watching the Powerpuff Girls. He's upset because he switched with Jake the night before so he could watch the South Park marathon, which was before he knew there was going to be a Powerpuff Girls marathon. What do we think about this? He loves Powerpuff Girls and South Park.
I believe it.
Sure, like, why not? I like both those shows too, but I don't know. There's just something weird about it.
It is
being
weird
referenced.
putting them like as though they're similar, right?
Yeah, I don't even know. Whatever. It's just funny too. Like, it takes you back to when marathons were important because it was like, oh, this show that I like, usually I have to wait for it to come on, but like next Saturday it's on all day, so I can like catch up and see some episodes I haven't seen in a while. It's just not even that. It has no meaning anymore. Like, what the fuck is that? Okay. They reference all the charities that Tennant's involved with: Doctors Without Borders, Humane Society, American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. Jake has a 2-inch long Swiss Army knife in his teeth. And yes, that's a proper name. That's a thing that is manufactured by a company.
Yep.
Tennant didn't like last week's ER. I don't know. He's on UPN. They say it's not like UPN needs him or anything. By the way, they're afraid to go after Amazon or Rainforest Cafe. They have to change it to Amazon Cafe, but it's fine to have UPN in the book. Like, I don't
Yeah,
understand.
I don't know. What do you want?
I'm about 2 Cokes short of a 6-pack. The Webster's College Edition, New York Public Library desk reference, collected works of Leo Tolstoy. All books Marco is considering using to kill Tennant or something. I don't know what he's.
I think break a window so he can escape.
Oh, that was it. Right. Either way, as you said, perhaps your father is young and restless. Blah, blah, blah. Dr. Freud. I don't remember that one. He says Jake is just a dumb jock trying to play General Eisenhower. Not okay, sure. Even Jake says dumb jock. It's like, yeah, what are you talking about?
Yeah, what the fuck is that?
And Rachel's about 3 millimeters away from morphing permanently into the Terminator. There's so many what do you mean you're like what, how are you, why would you measure, and you don't morph into the Terminator. You can't say morph into a Terminator when morphing is what you do into animals. It's not you can't just, doesn't, none of that is good. Okay, Tennant is a complete Looney Tune. Marco wants to play Monopoly on rainy Sunday afternoons with his mom. A near-death experience calls for a couple of hours of vegging with his PlayStation. Imagine one of those cool Jaguar convertibles, and a red Jaguar convertible also. Like a human falling off the Empire State Building. Does Batman go from bathroom to bathroom? No. Does the Silver Surfer surf the toilet stalls? No, he does not. Does Daredevil wear other people's dirty clothes? No. Spawn, maybe. It ain't Spider-Man. Next up, hyphen included. Next up, Hanson references. Him and Hanson, they're here too. What's a Hanson? Some blonde kids who look like girls, who for some reason girls think are cuter than me. Insert Family Guy reference here. This part I thought was confused. Another Rachel jab. Rachel says, hey, Bob Dylan is cuter than you. Beethoven is cuter than you, and he's been dead for a couple centuries. Like I said, she's just going at it on him in this book. But is Bob Dylan like known as being ugly? She says it like, oh, even fucking Bob Dylan is better looking than you. That fucking ugly ass Jew. Like, I'm Jewish, it's fine. Like, Bob Dylan's just a guy. Like, he just looks like a normal guy. He's not like Quasimodo or some shit. Like,
he's probably, to them, he's like old.
But do 13-year-olds in 1999, do they even fucking know who Bob Dylan is? It's such a
sure. I don't know. I don't fucking know. What do you want?
It's even Beethoven is weird. Like, why Beethoven? Like, where are you pulling these from?
From Schroeder.
Okay.
Everybody knows about Beethoven because of Schroeder.
We're about halfway. Yes, of course, and of course the Saint Bernard. We're about halfway through. There's an unusually large number of overdressed girls my own age or younger. Those would be the Hanson fans. Zach Hanson and his brothers, they're there. They're falling and screaming. Only Zach is mentioned by name specifically. It sounds just like a Hanson concert as well. Something is about as accurate as firing a Nerf gun blind. Like, what's his name in The Bodyguard? Like Clint Eastwood in that movie about the Secret Service. Don't know which movie we're talking about here. Is he made of Teflon? I found a half-finished package of Pepperidge Farms. Unspecified. Milanos, Sausalitos.
I don't think you can say that.
Chessmen. Which one, Milano or Sausalito?
I was going for Milano, but I kind of like Sausalito.
I don't. They're just Pepperidge Farms, generic Pepperidge Farms. Was Sitting Bull ready for General Custer? Was General Schwarzkopf ready for Saddam Hussein? Was General Washington ready for whoever's butt he kicked? You should know you were there. Also, Saddam Hussein reference, weird.
I love these Saddam Hussein references. These are great.
It's so strange. Yeah. Smell even more powerful than Right Guard or Old Spice. A couple of dudes playing capital F Frisbee. The little girl in the Coppertone ad. More lava lamp shit. Mr. UPN, more UPN references. Marco has a great idea for a new Star Trek series. which we just watched.
Mm-hmm.
See, it's way in the future, and the Federation has been broken up by the Dominion, and only 3 ships are still. And he gets cut off. Tobias says, "I always thought the whole Federation thing was just too easy." And then Rachel says, "Shut the fuck up, nerds." She says, "Next mission, girls only."
Yeah, girls don't like Star Trek.
I mean, this is how you know Kay Applegate did not proofread this.
That's true.
Like, you mean the basis for this female author's entire book series that she ripped off? So out of character, too. It's just, all of this is weird. Also, again, kids in the late 90s didn't even like Star Trek. It's... None of this makes sense. Like, it wasn't on TV anymore. Whatever. Unplastered, there are sheetrock walls. Sheetrock, trademark word. He says, Daffy Duck, the Daffy Duck on espresso lunacy of the poodle. I just noticed I had a typo and I wrote Daddy Duck.
That's what I call him.
Daddy Duck. A poodle the size of a Volkswagen. Another out of character Axe thing. I think this is Axe who says this. Marco, as a poodle, appears on camera when they go live on TV, and he says, "Here's Marco."
Yeah, Axe sure does say that.
That is the most... Like, that's just
bad.
Straight up. Yeah, he's sure watches... Again, Carson is not on the air at this point. So he's just watching reruns, or The Shining was on. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
They say to try Fox because UPN is not interested in airing this show any longer. Okay, at the wedding, he says he looks very Sean Connery, very Pierce Brosnan, and then he says Bond, James Bond. And the footage of the guy freaking out, CNN ran it roughly 4,000 times.
Yeah. Y'all thought we were kidding when we said we were halfway done the podcast.
Utterly absurd. I can't...
Easily
why?
New record.
Just why? Why were there so many? And not even... You can't even blame Marco for all of them. They just happen.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
It's so much.
Why?
It's easily like at least an 8 on the insanity scale.
Dear God. Okay. Well,
yeah, that was this book.
Not a great book, but I think a good episode.
Yeah, sure, maybe. Why not?
I can't. Unfortunately, I don't have any more Puppy Bowl updates to go out on, so you're gonna have to look up the rest, listeners. The cliffhanger, or wait till next week's episode. We'll catch you.
Yeah, we'll let you know.
But I will say that Drake has bet $1 million wager that the Chiefs are going to win the bowl today.
Wow.
Yeah, and there's a Las Vegas wedding chapel offering free weddings if your names are Taylor and Travis.
Oh, I was about to say you're losing me, but I'm okay. Well,
so
this is okay. I'm
Super
into
Bowl's
it again.
heating up. People, this is a
Loving
real time capsule. People are going to look back and go, "Wow, remember that day?"
Yeah, this is like this book. All the references were thrown in. They'll remember 2024 again.
That's right. This is how we'll remember the 2024 Super Bowl. Travis Kelce, Usher, and Marco turning into a spunk. All right.
Hey. So just for next time, we get a little bit of business here for next time.
Okay.
We said we're going to do Visser in 2 parts. And if there are any listeners who are reading along, some of you might be doing that.
That are still listening.
That are still listening. We'll be reading through chapter 17. So the prologue through chapter 17. Or is it a prologue? I don't remember. Whatever.
You might have said that. I don't know. Pretty exciting. Very exciting. And yes. So we'll get to some more show business next week. But it's exciting. It's Visser.
Yes.
It's exciting.
It's Visser. Get hyped.
If you have thoughts or comments about any of the books we have ever read or any Animorphs related things or something we said in this episode, or Visser. Maybe you have a Visser comment you want to get in while it's still hot for next time. No spoilers yet, though. You can send them to us, theyerkyboys@gmail.com.
And if you have more that you require from us, in terms of all of our words and blathering, you can subscribe to us on Patreon at patreon.com/theyerkyboys. This week we will be, what are we doing? We're doing Stephanie Meyer's The Host.
That's
we'll be
right.
Watching that and commenting on it.
Yes, we are not reading the book that it's based on. We are watching
watching the movie.
2013 movie The Host. That's American, starring Saoirse Ronan.
Good job.
Thanks.
It's only $5 a month, and you get all that extra content.
Yeah, it's really good over there, man. People are loving it. It's really fun. I'm serious. It's fun. And also look for us soon on animorphspodcastdirectory.com. I don't know if I forget if that's the URL. If you want even more of just me alone, go to other podcast networks and you can find me. I have a podcast called Geeks on Trial, where if you like the Super Bowl, we just did settle the case about fantasy football, because fantasy football in a way is just as geeky as movies or video games.
Yeah, it's still fantasy.
So we are judging that case. It involves, we changed the names to protect the innocent, but this week the people involved are named Barry, Skip, and Mike.
I wonder if anyone fucking gives a shit about that.
That's only for you and me. But check out Geeks on Trial podcast. It's a lot of fun. And that's it.
Well, thanks everyone for listening. Tune in next time when we'll be talking about Visser, in which Visser 3 stands menacingly on the Yerky Boys.